Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday, the 25th day of January 2018. Hard to believe the first month of this year is almost gone. We have amazing exclusive footage of the president arriving in Davos and a lot of other amazing stuff coming up that our great reporter Dan Lyman is there shooting and reporting on. That's posted on Infowars.com, and more going up as we speak. We have just the wheels coming off, the car blowing up, the walls closing in on the deep state, on the secret society, Clinton crime cabal inside the Justice Department, and the FBI that's been ruling over this country since the mid-1990s as the Clintons committed massive crimes in front of everybody. As the public and journalists and patriots in the government and people across the board realize the globalists are at war with the American people through their shadow government, through their deep state. And now that it's identified and that it's run by the Communist Chinese, the EU, and others, there's no putting it back together again. We have crossed the point of no return, the event horizon. Here's what Lou Dobbs had to say last night.
Good evening, everybody. It may be time to declare war outright against the deep state and clear out the rot in the upper levels of the FBI and the Justice Department. Yes, I said the rot. The FBI and the DOJ have broken the public trust by destroying evidence, defying oversight, and actively trying to bring down the Trump presidency. Tonight, there are new concerns that anti-Trump FBI officials formed even a secret society at the FBI to subvert the president after his election. That's according to two Republican lawmakers who've seen some of the thousands of texts between the FBI's Peter Strzok and Lisa Page.
And we have the full, then 10-minute segment where he annihilates them, posted on Infowars.com, an article we wrote about the report on Fox Business last night. You asked my opinion. Some of the best, most hard-hitting information is on Fox Business. And Lou Dobbs is a total patriot. Wouldn't even know about the globalists in mainstream media if it wasn't for him and many others. But I just have to thank Lou Dobbs for his courage. It is time to declare war because they've already declared war on us. And now they're cornered rats. As I keep saying, we've reached the most dangerous point right now because the walls are closing in.
This story hits close to home. It's a Michigan
later with legal reaction. Now, also tonight, the walls are closing in on those responsible for this massive corruption, abuse of power at the top levels of government in what we are now calling state-sponsored sabotage. Now, with this flood of damning news exposing all this malfeasance, the special counsel Robert Mueller and his spokespeople in the media are now working overtime. They want to create as many distractions as possible and discredit anybody that's telling the truth, like us here on the Fox News channel, for daring to report on the truth. Now, to be perfectly clear, for those that don't pay attention and want to advance lies and false narratives, we are not and never have been and never will be talking about rank-and-file members of the FBI, the DOJ, and the intelligence community.
That's right. We'll be right back. And the reason that's critical is they keep saying, oh, you hate all the FBI or everybody in the federal government. It's mainly FBI agents, former and current, that are speaking out against this and exposing it. So this is a criminal Clinton cabal, globalist cabal, hooked in with all these foreign powers that had been taking control of America, and it's being rooted out. That's what the whole Trump presidency is about, and you heard it here first. That is a video still, a digital still, if you're watching us on television. For radio listeners, you can go to Infowars.com/show, and the video is also being posted as we speak to Infowars.com, our HD footage. That I think is better than the other footage I've seen. A lot of it exclusive of Marine One, all three of them, because they use two of them as decoys with anti-missile systems on board, landing up at the plateau beneath the mountain in Davos, Switzerland. And then, of course, the president getting out and then traveling into Davos. That happened, obviously, earlier today because they are, 8 hours ahead of us there in Switzerland. I guess 8 hours ahead of Texas time, 7 hours ahead of New York time, Eastern time. There's an amazing new graph and new spreadsheet that goes into more detail about the deep state secret society insurance policy group that the folks at the Epoch Times have put together. They're the mainly Buddhist run world newspaper that exposes communist China harvesting their organs and selling them. And so that's one big reason they keep exposing how the communist Chinese basically run this country the last 20 years until Trump showed up. And so the communist Chinese are being evicted out of running Harvard, UT, you name it. That was in the Washington Post last week. Hollywood, you name it, the communist Chinese intelligence. And this basically breaks down how the insurance policy set everybody up in stunning detail. So I'm going to be tweeting this out at Real Alex Jones very, very soon. And coming up at the bottom of the hour, I'm going to go through it piece by piece. But how the whole operation through Hillary Clinton ran through Fusion GPS, through the Justice Department, through the FBI, through political operatives, who they then pointed their fingers at, and then into who they tried to set up and who they tried to destroy, with Obama coming in. This is very well done. Double teaming, giving governmental power in between the political operatives of Hillary, Hollywood, Republican allies, the Democratic Party, between Obama and the intelligence agencies in a pincer attack with John Brennan of the CIA and others, along with Robert Mueller, Comey and others, Loretta Lynch, all working in tandem, as well as Jay Johnson, to engage in one of the biggest criminal conspiracies the world has ever seen, that has now been blown absolutely, completely, and totally wide open. Now, there is a FISA memo that chronicles the last 2.5 years' activity that was posted to the Director of National Intelligence website and got almost no attention. William Binney, former technical head of the NSA, was contacted and said, this is the main body, the 99-page memo that Nunes has the secret parts of, and that is going to be in a larger summary and report he's going to put out. But there's 4 pages he's alluding to that is the blacked out areas of the document that is still classified. The whole document was classified, and that it shows the perjury of Justice Department, former and current FBI, and others on what they've testified to versus what's in the document. That then connects into the secret society. It connects into the insurance policy. It connects into the off-site secret meetings. It connects into the erased text messages. And they have text messages where they said, we're now going to all erase our text messages. But that got picked up in the dragnets. So they've been caught. And right now, because we have people that have courage like Devin Nunes and Trey Gowdy and Jim Jordan and others, because of this, the whole house of cards is coming down. So first the media said there is no memo. And they came out and said, here's the headline, did Devin Nunes invent his own smoking gun? We already have the smoking guns with the deputy head of the FBI, later the head of the FBI, meeting in secret to organize the insurance policy. We already have them saying we can't let Trump get in. When he was president-elect, we've got to stop him. We have the whole chain of events from when he was a candidate to the nominee to the president-elect, and they just didn't know what to do with themselves. And so now they lied to Congress. Comey lied. Mueller lied. McCabe lied. They all lied over and over again. So their insurance policy, the hole they dug for American voters to kill our will and the restoration of our republic, at least getting control of our country back in the hands of the states and the Congress and the president and the courts, that's all this is a second American Revolution against a new modern form of globalist colonialism, taking our country back. And they don't know what to do. And that's why we're at the critical juncture right now, because the walls are closing in, as Sean Hannity said last night, as I've been saying for the last few weeks. They're cornered rats. And the best way to say it is the walls are closing in. I described it as water, like in a movie. You know, you're trapped in a, say a submerged boat or something, and the water is coming in. It's an upside-down, capsized boat. Or it's one of those old movies where you're in the Egyptian temple, and all of a sudden, the sand starts pouring in, and a big stone blocks the door. That is exactly the analogies I've used, and Hannity's boiled it down excellently. The walls are closing in. So what are they going to do? Now that the walls are closing in, now that we know there's a war on America, a war on sovereignty, the New York Times has gone from saying globalism doesn't exist, Ron Paul's insane, Trump's insane, Jones is insane, Drudge is insane, to, okay, there's a fox in the globalist henhouse in Davos and our world government's falling apart. And now the Indian president just joined Trump saying globalism's done. That clip's coming up. And now more and more governments are saying we're not handing our power over to you anymore. This is the collapse of the New World Order. Doesn't mean some utopia is on the other side. Doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect. But the arrogance of the mega corporations who thought they would create private corporate governments that are authoritarian, transfer all our power to them, and exempt themselves from all the regulations and taxes that they foist on us. This is the beginning of the world awakening to that fraud. And the fortunes of Google, Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, especially Apple, all of it is based on this rigged system set up by the globalists, by the Rockefellers, and really expressed by the Clintons through George W., through Obama. And it has destroyed the nation state. It has destroyed wealth. It has savaged societies. And now, in office only 340 days. No, 370 days. 370 days. Only in office 370 days. President Trump is in Davos, just as we told you he was going to do, going in and saying, you're going to listen to me or leave. You're lucky I'm here. I'm here to talk about a future for your companies, not screwing people over. And all of a sudden, they're all saying, we like Trump. We like what he's done the last year. He's right. We all got even richer. But see, they don't want to just get richer. They want to run it and control it all. So suddenly Lloyd Blankfein and Bezos and all of them are rolling over and showing their bellies right now because the United States of America isn't under their full control. But believe me, they will stab the president in the back as soon as they can. They'll stab us in the back. It's the nature of these scumbags that would want to make everybody else poor and ally with the communist Chinese so that they could take control of our world. Think about that. Allied with the worst authoritarian regimes in the world, and Trump's already outflanked China with his India move and his South Korea move. He's already outflanked the EU with his support of Brexit and everything else. It's already happening because their system's authoritarian, tenuous, and based on lies. It will be easy to destroy it and build something much better because it's parasitic. But first, we've got to beat Hollywood, the mainstream media stay-behind networks that are trying to kick off a civil war in this country and trying to bully the resistance with all these fake sex assault charges. We got to make it through this final minefield. So the mainstream corporate enemy media has already collapsed. They're all bankrupt, every single one of them, from the New York Times, the Washington Post. They're all propped up by kingpins like Bezos and Carlos Slim, two of the richest men in the world. And some of the messages came out from the union negotiation with the Washington Post, where the employees are having their promised pay increases and things taken away. And Bezos' representative actually told him, sit down and shut up. That was in the news yesterday. You're lucky to even have a job. We're taking the promises away. See how that works? And they don't care. They're in there lying 24/7, trying to destroy this country as much as they can. And when they're done and Bezos has won, if he's successful, he'll get rid of all of them. Because Bezos is all about using people up and throwing them in the gutter. There it is. WAPO staffers fighting for better wages told to sit down, shut up, and be grateful for Bezos. Yeah, it said that they were getting $8 increases a year. Now he says they're not going to get pay increases and other people are going to have their pay cut if you actually go read what it says. So that headline's not even strong enough. But again, that's just a side issue. Under Trump, hundreds of companies have given $1,000 to $5,000 bonuses to even their lowest level employees. And the average family's gotten a $13,000 tax decrease. And the stock market's at $26,000. and there's millions of new jobs, and we've got the highest increases in wages ever recorded and the lowest black unemployment ever recorded. But CNN, the Washington Post, and everybody, they have endless articles telling you, oh, well, black unemployment is the lowest ever, but here's what's behind it. Or wages are up, but here's what's behind it. It's not Trump, it's Obama. That's right. Obama did it all. Obama got Apple to move back. Obama called thousands of companies. No, Trump got the tax cuts. Trump got the corporate tax cut. So that's their talking points. First off, there'll never be prosperity. You'll never get above 3%. And then they said, okay, it is going to probably go to 7 or 8, 9% in the next couple of years. You're right, it's about 3.3 right now. Okay, it's Obama, he did it. Obama did it. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. And getting back to the memo, and then I want to open the phones up. Justice Department makes last-ditch effort to block release of FISA memo. Peter Schiff and all the usual suspects running the fraud at the congressional level came out and said, it's a conspiracy theory. There's nothing there. Devin Nunes made it up. Those are the quotes. That was about 2 weeks ago about all these documents. Then they said, okay, it's real, but you can't understand it, so we shouldn't release it. And now they're saying, don't release it, period. But the Democrats are going to release their own memo. It's not quotes and text and documents and secret societies and all this other garbage. No. No, ladies and gentlemen, it's just their opinion. Meanwhile, MSNBC, FBI secret society is a dangerous conspiracy theory, even though it's FBI agents telling Congress this and text messages. Talking about secret meetings and insurance policies, all that's confirmed. But don't worry, it's a conspiracy theory. And then let's have an old neocon on there to tell everybody that everything is actually okay. So Justice Department makes last-ditch effort to block release of the FISA memo. That's up on Infowars.com. And here's the big one. Comey, Rosenstein, McCabe, all named in FISA memo, according to First Leak. Now, again, that's the first leak being reported by the Daily Beast, because mainstream media is giving that attention, saying it's the first leak. No, we've gotten leaks. Jack Posobiec's gotten leaks. Roger Stone has talked to 4 members of Congress, some of them that you see on television. And as of last night, he still wasn't ready to say what they told him, and he asked me not to say yet. But he does just tell me all this incredible stuff, just so I know how good his sources are, and then 99% of the time, we wait too long and we get scooped. That didn't really happen in this Daily Beast. It's just reporting what we've always known. Much of what Nunes talks about when he says the secret FISA court memo is the FISA court 99-page memo that gives you the dates of when they were spying, the FISA court saying this is illegal over and over again. So the Daily Beast spins it. Devin Nunes' anti-FBI memo names James Comey, Rod Rosenstein, and Andrew McCabe because they're the ones involved back before Trump was even in office during the campaign. And when he was president-elect, they're the ones running the FISA operation. They're the ones taking the Fusion GPS baloney package in. They're the ones. That's why that document's important, is because it shows the blueprint. And yes, there's secret parts we haven't released that are the blacked out parts, but they play semantical games. Just like the talking point is, Devin Nunes has nothing. There is nothing. He made it up. Alex Jones made it all up. It's all fake. It's all fake. Hillary won. She's Madam President. Like, where is my Madam President? I guess they've hung it back on the wall by my office. This is how they play these games. Oh, and of course, I'm sure we all believe this, CBS News, thousands of FBI-issued phones had a glitch that failed to save text. Total made-up crap. That particular Samsung Galaxy phone hard codes the text. Oh, but they're saying that's what glitched, but you still have to manually erase them. And everybody knows that. So, oh my goodness, The FBI says we wouldn't do that. And again, the New York Times said 99% chance Hillary was going to win, Madam President. So they never engage in fake news. No, they only tell us the truth. Again, did Nunes invent his own smoking gun? That's the talking point when we have the smoking guns. We have the fraudulent warrants they got, which the court says in the memo, you guys aren't following the law doing this until the president orders them to do it. And that's what's blacked out. And that's what Daily Beast isn't telling you is Barack Obama's name is in these documents. POTUS, President of the United States. And that's what no one is supposed to ever say. They have the talking point now for over a year and a half that President Obama has never been involved in any political action against Trump. President Obama has never been involved with the FISA court against anybody who's a U.S. citizen. President Obama is above reproach. And what did Nunes and what did all the other congressional Republicans that have the courage to tell the truth tell you is going to happen? What did Congressman Gates say? They've all said, what's in the memo exposes Obama running it and will destroy his legacy as Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. Mr. Goody Two-Shoes, he persecuted the press. He persecuted whistleblowers like no one we've ever seen. So that's what's really in the memo, is that Obama ran this and used illegal fake info to get a fake warrant to surveil his political enemies. Folks, we have a ton of economic news, political news, a ton of tectonic news dealing with volcanoes and earthquakes massively increasing, especially on the U.S. East Coast, with top seismologists believing that the really big one could hit any day. We've already seen 8.2s off the coast of Alaska. We've already seen Mount St. Helens coming back to life like it hasn't done since it erupted in the early 1980s. So we're going to be looking at all of that as well. But I want to open the phones up on this Thursday edition to take a ton of your calls, specifically on the secret Nunes memo. That, again, he talks about the 4 pages in the memo that is from the classified FISA court memo. Those, we've been told by high-level sources, including the former head of operations of the NSA, is the blacked-out portions that are in that document. And the media uses this distraction process to say, this is not the secret part Nunes has. We made that clear. This is the document that's been hiding in plain view that no one's covered, that shows the illegal surveillance, and the FISA court at least twice coming to Obama and saying, this is illegal. What are you doing? And it's got the names blacked out of Comey, of McCabe, of Loretta Lynch, of all the usual suspects. And that's what members of Congress have said. They've said, this is going to embarrass Obama big time. This is going to hurt his legacy as Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. He's not Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. Incredible persecutor of the press and whistleblowers and you name it. So now, after they said, oh, there is no memo, now Peter Schiff and now the Democrats and now the operatives in the Justice Department have changed their tune, and they say, we do not want this released. Justice Department makes a last-ditch effort to block release of FISA memo, saying it will damage national security. And, of course, there's other information, tons of other information. We get so focused on this memo, you've got thousands and thousands of texts that members of those committees, the intelligence committees, the armed services committees, the judicial committees, are able to see, and it is a love fest. They've already released. We're meeting in secret. We're creating insurance policies. We hate this guy. We can't let him get in office. We got to meet with McCabe, and all that's been confirmed. And now more and more and more and more comes out, and oh, now 50,000 texts or whatever have come up missing, and oh, it's just a glitch in the phone. This is a giant cabal inside our government that covered for the crimes of the Clintons, that covered for the crimes of Obama, that covered for the crimes of the people around Bush. It's all the same group. They all vacation together. They all love each other. This is the good old boy secret society that Trump isn't part of. He's not part of that good old boy group. And they now understand that that whole thing is being destroyed. So they're now in a very, very dangerous position. They're in a dangerous position, and they're willing to do anything right now to try to stop Trump, try to stop the resurgence of Americanism, showing that we had artificial economic restraints on us to hold us down, that within 1 year, we've already seen dramatic improvement. They're being destroyed by prosperity. Just like I said on Inauguration Day, I said Trump must deliver. His name is bound to our success. His dynasty is bound to us, even if he was a sociopath. If he wants true historical victory and power, he would be the man to turn America around and to lead other countries out of globalist bondage. And it's happening. Macron says the EU is on the verge of collapse. If there was a referendum today, it would fall. Well, most nations never had a referendum to enter the EU. They were brought in just like NAFTA and GATT, just like WTO, just like the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, into these global trade combines that are binding world governance in their own words. And the Indian leader, who's been a guy working with Trump, he's playing both sides, saying, I like globalism. I want to work with the globalists, but you know, it's losing its luster. Trump is right. Well, globalism is the globalist system of world technocracy government. Global and global connections is just part of the next development of the human species. They just want to package the inevitability of the move into that world system to make it undemocratic and command and control from the beginning. So this is a huge time to be alive. I want to give you the toll-free number to join us to talk specifically about Davos, what's happening there with Trump, what you think is going to come out in the memo, when you think it's going to come out. I was told that they are looking to release the secret portions of the memo and their report Monday or Tuesday of next week. But because it looks like the Justice Department is so rogue and that Trump doesn't control but only maybe the first layer, that they may try some injunctions or something or some type of congressional battle to block it. And the Democrats are rushing to put out their own fake memo that they admit's just hyperbole and opinion. And so they may release it tonight or tomorrow. I've been talking to a lot of people that are talking to these congressmen and some of them women. And I'm just going to leave it at that. You know, we probably should just get Roger Stone on. Dan Lyman from Switzerland, Infowars.com reporters on at the middle of the next hour. We should probably just shoot to get Roger on the start of the next hour if he can. Or when Tyler Nixon's in studio, or one of our legal analysts, Roger could come on at 1:30 because I want to see if he'll go ahead and talk about what his sources told him, because I understand why he doesn't want all of this out now, because they don't want it out now. But, you know, I really don't want to sit here and sit on top of this while the mainstream media tries to spin all of this. So we'll see what unfolds. I mean, some headlines say it's going to come out in the next 2 weeks. It's all up in the air right now, but more and more it's looking like early next week. And again, why is this so important? It exposes the shadow government. It exposes the deep state. It exposes the cabals, the secret societies that we know are the bane of any successful culture. That's right. Sarah Carter is saying it could be released this week. So we're going to continue to look at every angle of this. But this is a journey about us restoring our republic, rediscovering our own system, and taking control of our own destiny. That's the process happening here. And it's the process of breaking the unconstitutional, covert ties where global government is codified in legislative edict to be authoritarian, to be secret, and to be anti-human. And when you realize that, you realize that the quandary that decent people have, that, well, I don't want to run things, and things aren't perfect, and boy, things are a mess. They're trying to make it worse. They're trying to consolidate power. They're trying to make you poor. They're trying to poison you culturally and physically and spiritually. They're very, very nasty people. They want a population of dumbed-down serfs they can feed on. And so we have a job to remove them because we know they're a clear and present danger. We know they're bad. By the way, I'm very excited that the listeners are excited about Bodies, our newest nutraceutical supplement, which from our research is the ultimate turmeric concentrate blend because it has a bunch of other known super antioxidants to turbocharge that studies show accelerates its upload. It's a big 60-day supply of some of the best turmeric out there in the world. If you don't know what turmeric can do for you, just go look at the studies here. Big Brother and folks don't want us to obviously be able to even tell you or get into all that, but turmeric is something that every man, woman, and child should be taking every single day, and the other compounds in Bodies only make it stronger. InfoWarsStore.com, $50 or 50% off. It's not even $50 off out of the gates, 50% off, and it's $50 off on the Alexa Pure Breeze air filtration systems, and that's going to end in the next few days as well. I'm Alex Jones, your host. Thank you for joining us. Two little corrections here. I should probably give the phone number out so people can call in. When I said the phones were open 20 minutes ago, 877-789-ALEX, 877-789-2539 is the number to call in specifically on the secret memo, why the Democrats are so scared, the Congress folks that have told us that it will really expose Obama as a very sinister individual. How long is it going to take till they bring this out? Because I'm really worried that the cornered rats, as the walls are closing in, as Sean Hannity said last night, are going to really get even more aggressive. And you see Hollywood and the media saying, kill the president, kill his supporters, attack his supporters, burn things down, bring down the government, shut down the government. They are really upset, this cabal that had hijacked the nation. And they really thought we would accept the evil political corpse of Hillary Clinton running our lives. But everything they touch turns to absolute failure. 877-789-ALEX. And the other correction, I don't have a teleprompter in here, and I go from memory. And I know it's Adam Schiff is the leader, or the Democratic leader in the House of the Judiciary Committee. And his counterpart is Nunes, the chairman. And he is going after the truth and first saying it isn't real and then saying it is real, don't release it, you're too stupid to understand it. I'm calling him Peter Schiff, who's a great economist and researcher and was on with us last week, or maybe it was Monday. So it's Adam Schiff, not Peter Schiff. So thanks for the crew pointing that out. Someday I guess I'm going to have to get like all the other talk show hosts and have my notes and just follow them, but I just go literally from a memory and research. And we are getting this graphic posted on Infowars.com as we speak, and we are going to tweet it at Real Alex Jones, because it's hard to find on the Epoch Time website. It is their map of the insurance policy and the Clinton/Obama secret society that had basically hijacked the government. So that is going to be coming up in the next hour as well. But the toll-free number, again, is 877-789-ALEX. And I don't normally screen your calls. It's a free-for-all, but we are screening them in that I want to specifically talk about this topic and or Trump in Davos, because we were told he was going to screw us on DACA. Didn't do it. But people that I know, they're conservatives, are still mad at him because they decided that that was happening and they won't admit they got conned by neocon media. And it's the same thing here. He's going there to try to recruit companies back to the U.S. He's going there as a nationalist to cut unilateral deals to help the United States, but also help the companies and or countries they're from, so it's a two-way street, so you build up both economies. How do I know that? Trump told us his philosophy. He's been following through, and he is as constant as the North Star. And so I told you a week ago what he'd do at Davos. Now it's already happened today. I'm here to cheerlead for America. I'm here to talk about nation states and how we need to control our own governments and have our people in charge, and the value of human workers and not replacing them with robots. And I'm here to talk about how this global order is unelected and authoritarian, and if you don't like it, get out of the room. I've got the quotes here. They said, you want to bitch, you want to complain as a CEO, you want to act like you're going to protest me being here, you're lucky I'm here, and if you don't like it, get out. If you don't like it, don't go hear me when I speak. Leave the room like everybody else does. You want to hear this speaker, that speaker? Fine. Leave the room. It's called free speech. I'm the head of the United States. I'm coming. I'm speaking to you. Dramatic HD footage from Dan Lyman, our reporter, who's doing an amazing job writing articles, shooting reports, and also joining us live. Chow in Davos. Those who don't want to listen to Trump can leave. Yes, that's his spokesperson that's there with him. As I just told you, that is what the president said. And boy, they've desperately tried to get, the Muslim Union that have put the Islamicist mayor in London. They voted to say Trump's not welcome in England. Just think about the mindset and how these people are operating. But I want to get to some of these clips real fast because they're so important, because it signifies something earth-shattering, earth-shaking that'll change the world if you grasp it, if I grasp it, if we all continue to grasp it. As I've been saying for at least 15 years, globalism's criminal, it's unelected, it's authoritarian, it's anti-human, it's exempt from taxes and regulations, and it operates by stealth. And if we just have a public debate about it, keep exposing the IMF, the World Bank, the WTO, the TPP, all these groups, that they're unelected, transferring power to world government corporations, and that they're giving us a bad deal as well, the nation states will turn against it, and we will remove ourselves from this system before it ever gets off the ground. I said it's when they finally admit it's a global government and try to set up the world currency and the world tax and the world control, and they try to lower the borders completely, that the world will turn against them. That's common sense. And so I hammered it, and I hammered it with you, the listeners, and many other great people that understood history, like the New American Magazine and like Ron Paul and others, knowing that we were making inroads with the public mind worldwide, and that when they announced the world government, people would go, wait a minute, I've seen Nightline. I've seen Dateline. I've seen CBS. I've seen CNN. I've seen CNBC. I've seen the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, for 30 years say there's no world government, there's no global cabal. For 50 years, the CFR isn't taking your sovereignty. For 40 years, the Trilateral Commission is secret, but don't worry about it. And we hammered it and hammered it. And if you talked about it, you got blackballed, you got kicked off talk radio, you got publishers would shut you down. But now, the fact that Bilderberg and all these things are the very same couple hundred billionaires who meet at Davos and meet at Bilderberg and meet at these events, and their people are in key positions everywhere, and they're setting up a system of total control. And if we just kept hammering it, the truth would come out. They'd have to debate us face-to-face about their authoritarian activities, and they would lose. We have now reached the point where they're having to debate us and going, listen, we need globalism. We need world government. We don't want a fractured world. Well, it's not fractured when we just simply don't let you screw us over and you exploit the workers and you lower wages. And so their authoritarian nightmare is coming to an amazing, crashing confrontation. They're not defeated yet, but the very nature of a world transnational secret tax-exempt group with diplomatic immunity running everything, they're never going to sell that. And they're going to use third world populations in reverse colonialism to come in and drive down wages and be brainwashed into neo-leftist, anti-Western, anti-European racist. And now the left in major publications like The Economist says, we miscalculated demographics. We've got to get even more non-whites in, and we'll defeat the West. And it's not really defeat the white thing. It's defeat nation states that can stand up for itself, that had wealth, that were first world, that aren't a big third world population you can dictate the terms of surrender to. They want us poor, neo-feudalistic fascism. And I've had top economists on, you name it, And they go, that's the best term I ever heard. That's exactly what it is. That is what it is. And yes, I've coined many of the terms today that are now used in the fight against the enemy. Not because I'm that smart. It's neo-feudalistic fascism. Using socialism at the grassroots level of control. I didn't get to those clips. I'm going to come back, start going to calls. Then I'm going to get to all the clips. Lou Dobbs says we must declare war on the deep state. Sean Hannity gets it right. He says the walls are closing in on the globalists, on the secret societies. They're panicking. This is so important because the fact that everything we talk about is being mainlined now means they can never, no amount of censorship, no amount will ever put the genie back in the bottle. We have passed an incredible point of no return, an amazing milestone that is historical and that is incredible, and that we should all hit our knees and thank God for the providence that's taking place. And then be a little positive about you. I was brushing my teeth this morning, and I just thought, I got to get on air and thank the listeners and viewers. I mean, not just thanking them because they're great patriots and fighting hard, but man, you are the heart. You are the blood. You are the core. You are the spark. You are it. You are the very most engaged, point-blank patriots in the world. You are the reason we're here. All right, folks, we are into the second hour. I'm going to start going to your phone calls right now. The article has gone live on newswars.com and infowars.com. Real collusion. Graphic illustrates Dems' ties to phony Russian dossier and how they formed their own secret society. Obama deep state behind secret Trump coup attempt. Mueller witch hunt. It's the most amazing graphic of many graphics we've seen. They're excellent. Exposing the insurance policy. And it's all in their own words, their own admissions, how they have Trump and the American people in a pincer attack between Obama when he was still in office, Hillary, the Democratic Party, Republican allies, the corporate media, and so much more. So this powerful graphic is on Infowars.com right now. It's very important to tweet that out. It's very important to basically let people know this is what the Nunes secret FISA 4 pages out of the original FISA investigation. FISA put out a 99-page memo that says we were told to do illegal things. The court did. And that's the memo that the media goes, oh, that memo was already out, Jones. Nobody look at that. By the way, you can't look at WikiLeaks if you're not CNN. If you do, you're going to jail. Cuomo said that. Well, now they just go, listen, don't look at any of that. Look, those text messages you're hearing, that's fake. There was no meeting with McCabe. Now they go, okay, they're real text messages. We met with McCabe, but all the others got erased. They're caught red-handed, folks, and they're trying different distraction games with people, but it's not working. So I'm asking the questions of listeners, what's going to happen as these cornered rats begin to realize that nothing they've done's worked, nothing they've done has gotten them out of the trouble they're in? So I'm going to go to break and come right back, go to Brendan, Mark, John, Candace, Josh, Jason, and many, many others on the other side of this short segment. And then I'm going to read the article because it's an excellent article and show some of the documents and tweets that are embedded in it from zerohedge.com. That's on Infowars.com. According to First Leak, and again, this really isn't the first leak. Their Daily Beast is saying they have the first leak. Everything you've been seeing with text messages that Congress is putting out are leaks. Everything that Jim Jordan's been saying a week before and the next week it comes out is a leak. He's got them testifying in front of him going, I kind of feel like this might have been what happened. And then they won't answer his questions, Ron Rosenstein or McCabe or any of them, because they know they've got all the classified garbage of what they've done. So if you know how to read between the lines, you know what's in there. It's a bombshell 4-page memo that first started making waves last week and a half after it was made available to the full House representatives for viewing. That's the full memo, with over 60 GOP lawmakers calling for its release. Capitol Hill sources on both sides of the aisle tell the Daily Beast that it's only a matter of time before the general public is allowed to view the document. Oh, thank you, Daily Beast. That's like telling me the sun came up this morning, which is likely to stoke already inflamed tensions between GOP lawmakers and the individuals named in the leak. And then it gets into what's in there. McCabe, Comey, Rosenstein. We already know they're the Clinton cabal. It's Rosenstein told Trump, hey, let's get McCabe. He really likes you. He's the guy that was running the cabal for Comey and Mueller. He's the stay-behind network. They're like, oh, sir, he's against what happened. He's your man. All right, Mr. McCabe, you're the head of the FBI. Just get confirmed by the Congress, but you're my nominee. Mr. President, they've really screwed you over. Just turn around for me so I can pull this dagger out and stab you in the back immediately. Ha, ha, ha. All right, we're going to your phone calls right now. We're talking about the secret FISA memo, that is secret excerpted parts out of reportedly multiple memos, and the proof that Obama was directing illegal spying against the Trump campaign, president-elect, and right up until the time that the president was sworn in. And we saw incredible hubris by Brennan, by Clapper, by Schumer, and others saying, oh, the intelligence agencies are going to get you, you're never going to make it into office, or you're going to be out very, very soon. And they've been all over TV saying, we're going to remove him in the next few months outside of impeachment. And Wolf Blitzer says to Brennan and to Clapper, well, how? They go, oh, extrajudicial. And then Phil Mudd goes on air 2 days later and says, the government's going to kill this guy, President Trump. And then, of course, you saw Scalise shot in the attempt to take out the Republican Freedom Caucus leadership. So these guys aren't playing around. And I told you back when all that happened last year, this is the stay-behind networks at the FBI, at the CIA, at the NSA, at the Justice Department, and other agencies. They were saying this in the Washington Post, New York Times. Hold on, he'll be gone in a few months. Don't follow orders. It's your duty to be mutinous. Sabotage. I mean, they were in the news. And so they got more shrill saying, we're going to kill you. You're going to be out by November. You're going to be out by December. Because they knew their stay-behind networks were on burner phones by then. They were meeting secretly already for 6, 7, 8 months. Once the president had gotten into office, they were scared. They were being watched now. Oh, yes. And so they had to send McCabe out to go, that piece of crap will be gone in a few weeks. We're going to kill him. And have them all go on TV and say, he's dead. He'll be gone. I told you that was desperate, desperate disinfo to get their criminals to continue to man the post. And we now have the emails. We now have the text messages. Congress has them. They're going to release them. These 5 congressmen, every time they say they've got this, they release it a week later. And now they're saying, we've got FBI agents that blew the whistle to us. Of course, you know, that probably happened a year ago or more. We've got all the documents. We've got all the emails. We've got everything that this whole house of cards is coming down, that they're scared, that they're using burner phones, that they're hiding out. You don't think Congress wanted to bring all this out if they didn't have to, right? You think they wanted to really damage the FBI this much? You think they really wanted to bring it to this point? You think Trump wanted that? This isn't good for the stock market. It's not good for the economy. It's good. It'd be good if Hillary goes to prison. Some people need to go to prison, but this is going to be huge now because they pushed it all the way. And so now they're just watching the Democrats continue to perjure themselves. And they brought in McCabe, and they brought in Comey, and they brought in all these people, and they all perjured themselves. And they've got them all dead to rights. And the congressman would look right at Rosenstein, who wouldn't answer questions, but he perjured himself, and say, I kind of feel like this is how it happened. And then, of course, it's exactly how it happened. I kind of feel like, Rosenstein, this is how it might have happened. And Rosenstein sat there and squirmed around in his chair and wouldn't answer anything but with bizarre, sideways activities. Talking out of both sides of his mouth because they don't know what to do. So the $64 trillion question is also your answer. Program A was to stop the nomination and then steal the election or stop the president from being seated. Program B was the whole fake Russiagate and try to get some dirt. That didn't work, so now Plan C is obstruction. And then that kind of moves on into 25th Amendment. You're a lunatic, but that's gone nowhere. So Plan D is kill the president, which they've already been kind of trying to get to happen behind the scenes and trying to kill the congressman to send a message. And I mean, I'll give it to them. There's some really evil people. They've already done a lot. I'm surprised they're walking around right now. I'll tell you, if I was the president, I guess I'd do what he's done. He's giving them the long game, letting them hang themselves, but it's dangerous because you know they got people in the White House. You know they got people in the Secret Service. So folks should be praying for the president. This is beyond a thriller, beyond a movie, beyond anything. This is sudden death overtime for this country right now with these people. Because let me tell you, if they're able to kill the president or able to get him out of there, they have said they're going out for everybody. And that's going to cause a civil war right there. I mean, they've had their butts handed to them on every crime they've committed, every dirty trick they've played, every scam they've run, every fraud they've engaged in. Everything they've pulled so far has blown up. So I'll ask you again, what are they going to pull now? Because now they're cornered like a bank robber that the cops run him, so he grabs a kid and says, I got a hostage. I'll blow his head off. I'll blow his head off. And that's Comey, and that's Mueller, and that's all of them. And and then there's this. I forgot this. Guys, get the audio. I didn't see it here on the list. It's CNN's got it. It's all over. It's audio. Trump says he will go under oath with Comey. He says, I'll love to meet with him the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I love to go under oath. But, you know, Hillary didn't go under oath when she met with Comey. No. Comey already gave her a letter absolving her, saying you're not under criminal investigation, but we're going to go to the media and say you are in the next 6 months, but it's all fake, and you're going to get to meet with Strzok and everybody, and it's not a real investigation. She wasn't under oath. And tarmac meetings with Bill Clinton, the Attorney General, on and on and on. So Trump says, I'll meet with him and I'll go under oath. And I've said this 100 times. Mr. President, the only way this is going to work, and you're all literally, he's always a couple steps ahead of me, so I'm guessing this is what he's going to do. Have live cameras in there. Bring that crook Mueller in, that arrogant SOB, and set down that monster in front of you and say, all right, you got 5 minutes, buddy boy. And then I'm going to do the talking. And then lay into him with his whole history and Uranium One and the criminal activity and McCabe and everything. And it will be the giant nail in their fraud you've ever seen in your life. It will be beyond devastating. And I said that a week ago, and a little bird told me that Trump is intending to just say, come on in. It's under oath. And he's going to sit right there with Mueller in the ultimate stare down. I should have led the show with this. There's just so much news. The ultimate showdown. And then he's going to chew him out and say, in case you don't know, former director, this person, this email, this document, what do you say about that? What do you say about Hillary meeting secret? What do you say about all that? What do you say about not being under oath? What do you say about you guys saying you weren't surveilling us, but you were? Because when Mueller sits down in front of the president in the next 3 weeks, it's after they've timed all this out with the Freedom Caucus. When I'll be surprised if Mueller even goes. Because you talk about walking into the dragon's den, the lion's den. I mean, you are walking in there, buddy. Here's the president.
I'm looking forward to it, actually.
You want to? Do you have a date set?
Here's the story, just so you understand. There's been no collusion whatsoever. There's no obstruction whatsoever. And I'm looking forward to it. I do worry when I look at all of the things that you people don't report about with what's happening. If you take a look at, you know, the 5 months worth of missing texts, that's a lot of missing texts. And as I said yesterday, that's prime time. So you do sort of look at that and say, what's going on? You do look at certain texts where they talk about insurance policies or insurance, where they say the kinds of things they're saying. You got to be concerned. But I would love to do that, and I'd like to do it as soon as possible.
When will you
Good
do
luck,
it, Mr.
everybody.
President? Do you have a date set?
So here's the story.
Do you have a date set, Mr. President?
I don't know. No, I guess they're talking about 2 or 3 weeks, but I would love to do it.
In person.
You know, again, it's, I have to say, subject to my lawyers and all of that, but I would love to do it.
Would you do it under oath, Mr. President?
We'll be right back, and I'm going to your calls. But then he finishes up. He says, oh, yeah, I'll go under oath. But Hillary didn't. All right, let's finish up with the president, since I was starting to get into the audio of him in the Oval Office yesterday, telling reporters, yeah, I'll meet with Mueller, and I'll go under oath, unlike Hillary Clinton did. But it was worse than that. They told her, you're not under investigation, but we're going to say you are. We're going to stage it. You won't be under oath. That came out. They gave her a memo saying, you're not under investigation. We're not coming after you. You're not under oath before she do it. Oh, but Mueller wants him under oath. So imagine if Trump brings him in live video cameras and says, okay, you ask your questions and I'm going to ask mine, and then use it to destroy him, to turn the tables. Within 3 weeks, when this meeting supposedly is going to come up subject to lawyers, that gives the president an out, it's all going to be out there. The memos, everything. They'll be lucky if they're not indicted by then. Let's go ahead and play this clip, then I'm going to your calls.
Mr. President?
You mean like Hillary did it under? Who said that? Oh.
I said that.
Oh.
Did you do it under oath?
Oh, you said it. You did say it. You say a lot. Did Hillary do it under oath?
I have no idea, but I'm not asking.
I think you have an idea. Don't you have an idea?
Do you think
Wait a minute. Wait. Do you not have an idea? Do you really not have an idea? I'll give you an idea. She didn't do it under oath. But I would do it under oath. Listen, but I would do it, and you know she didn't do it under oath, right?
She would do it under oath.
If you didn't do it, if you didn't know about Hillary, then you're not much of a reporter.
Do you feel you're going to do it under oath?
Say it.
To reach a higher standard, you would do it under oath.
Oh, I would do it under oath. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you trust the
I would do
FBI?
it.
Do you trust the FBI?
Well, we're going to see. I mean, I am very disturbed, as is the general, as is everybody else that is intelligent. When you look at 5 months, this is the late, great Rosemary Woods, right? With a step, right? This is a large-scale version. 18 minutes. That was 18 minutes. This is 5 months. They say it's 50,000 texts, and it's prime time. That's disturbing. Say hello to your friends.
Should
Goodbye,
McCabe
everybody.
go? Should McCabe
General.
go, Mr. President? Should McCabe go?
Well, McCabe got more than $500,000 from essentially Hillary Clinton, and is he investigating Hillary Clinton?
So should he go?
Do you remember, did anybody hear many of my speeches where I talked about McCabe? He was the star of my speech. This isn't now. And I said a man who was more or less in charge of her, the wife got $500,000 from Terry. Now, Terry is Hillary. And, yeah, I mean...
Do you regret having him as your acting FBI director then?
You know what? I keep out of it. You'd find that hard to believe. I keep out of it. That's the way it fell. He's been there. It's one of those things. But he was the star of many of my speeches because he got from 5 to 700,000, whatever the number was.
Did you ask
Got that money for the wife.
Yeah, did you
And you know,
did
in
you ask him
Virginia,
who he voted for?
it's very interesting. Wait, in Virginia, you don't have to spend the money. So I never checked as to whether or not they spent the money on the campaign. How much of the money did he spend on the campaign? Do you know? How much was it? Wait, how much of the money was spent?
Did you ask who he voted for?
You know, I know. How much is?
Did you ask McCabe who he voted for? Did you ask him that?
I don't think so. No.
You don't think you
No,
did?
I don't think I did.
You don't?
You did not.
I don't know
Is it
what's the big
possible you
deal with
did?
that,
No, but
because I would ask you who did you vote for? I don't think it's a big deal, but I don't remember that. You know, I saw that this morning. I don't remember asking him that question.
Is it possible you did? Is it
I don't remember asking him the question.
You don't remember?
I think it's also a very unimportant question,
Okay.
but I don't remember asking him that.
Now, that's bombshell audio. And imagine what else CNN decided to not give you. Okay? That's what they allowed you to hear. By the time it was on CNN last night, I was watching Wolf Blitzer just to tune in for like 10 minutes. And I go, that sounds edited. That's why I went and searched out the audio last night, because he was like going, I'll go under oath. It's prime time. And I went, that doesn't make sense. They were literally editing stuff he says 1 minute in with another minute to make him sound crazy. Now, CNN's website at least had a limited edit, 3-minute audio chunk we just played. But see, at every level, they're manipulating, they're lying. And then look at this headline. They made it, oh, Trump will go under oath. you know, like he's a criminal. When in the real news there is that the president's pointing out that McCabe got $500,000 from Hillary, which is on record. And then, of course, you got the head of the operation at the Justice Department transferring millions of dollars to his wife at Fusion GPS. I mean, this is crazy. Okay, enough of that. I'm going to your calls now. I just forgotten about that bombshell, and it was very, very important to actually hear from the president before he got on an airplane and flew to Switzerland, where he's fighting for U.S. interest right now. Jason, Black Thumper, Kevin, Dan, Candace, Mitch, John, Mark, Brendan. We need to go to all your calls here. I'll probably get to one or two in this little segment. But let's go ahead and go to Black Thumper calling from Washington. Go ahead, Black Thumper.
Hey, it's Black Trumper, Alex. Great to be on with you. I just wanted to say that as damning as this memo that's about to come out may be, I really don't have much faith in Jeff Sessions to actually do something about it. He's been asleep at the wheel the entire Trump administration and hasn't done anything. Hasn't done anything to go after Hillary or any of the major crimes that were committed.
By the way, Black Thumper is kind of a new Disney movie, like a cute little black rabbit. That'd be cute. I apologize that the monitor's so far away in the bright light. It looked like Thumper. It is Trumper. Look, everybody's pointed that out thousands of times about Sessions, and he's got to be compromised. Everybody agrees. Why in the world would he go along with McCabe to be the new FBI director, Rosenstein, this whole rogue group? It's clear that he's been intimidated, but who is doing a good job is the Inspector General of the Justice Department, and that's where the only sunshine's been coming from. What do you think's going on?
Yeah.
All right, your phone's breaking up. I appreciate your call. Let's go ahead and go to Jason in Florida. Jason, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hey, Alex, love your show.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hey, I wonder if you saw the latest post by QAnon. I guess it was 3 days ago. He said something to the effect that the missing text may have something to do with an assassination plot. And I got one more point too about I've been in there 4chan probably last 2-3 months, and boy, there's a lot of criticism of you on there, and most of it centers around the Israel haters, of course. And I just thought maybe if you could spend a little more time debunking the Israel runs the world BS, you might be able to rope some of these guys in that are on there. They're pretty fanatical, and I don't know if some of them are even that serious about it. They might just be disinformation.
Yeah, look, exactly. Most of that's bots and sock puppets and Southern Poverty Law Center and ADL people. I mean, they admit half the folks at one of those Klan rallies or whatever, or ADL or Southern Poverty Law Center or Antifa sheep dip groups. I just ignore all that made up stuff. There are corrupt groups in every society and every group. I'm promoting free market capitalism and Western civilization. And that's why the globalists hate me and use a pincer attack of left-wing and right-wing attacks. But as for your point about QAnon, our story was on drudgereport.com yesterday, actually dealing with the reports that is some of what is in the secret text that Congress has that we've not seen. Some of these thousands and thousands of texts that is that plan. Report missing FBI text messages include threats of violence against Trump. This is dangerous territory. Thank you, Jason. Great points. I'm going bam, bam, bam through your calls on the other side. Then, live from Switzerland, Dan Lyman, and much more. We'll be back. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on television, you can see our HD footage shot today on the plateau right beneath the mountain there in Davos, the town of Davos, Switzerland, with our own Dan Lyman shooting Marine One coming in for a landing, the president getting out, military on the roofs with sniper rifles. Dan Lyman's coming up in the next segment. We'll continue with your calls right in to the next hour as well. And I'm going back to your calls as we speak right now. You can see a very clear, beautiful, sunny day there in Davos. A little bit better than it was with all the global warming, the record snow that I guess just stopped falling yesterday. But it's gotten nice and sunny for the president to arrive. And again, am I gloating? Am I very thankful for Trump? Yeah, we don't have Hillary Clinton. The globalists are pulling their hair out. We're exposing deep state criminal cabals that protected the Clinton crime network. Yeah, they want to make everybody secretly support the president. You know, those of us that do. They want to make us secretly do it so they can run around terrorizing everybody and intimidating everybody. So the more they attack, the more they bully, the more I support the president. All right, let's go right back to your phone calls here. Let's talk to Brendan in New Jersey. Brendan, thank you so much for calling today.
Hey, Alex, how's it going today?
Good, brother. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I just wanted to call and talk about the memo. The other day when you, I think it was Monday or something, when you had that, when you leaked the that full 199-page memo, I probably took about a good 20, 30 minutes out of my day to go ahead and read that. I only read about halfway through it. And now I also heard you report on certain news networks are saying, or certain congressmen are saying that, you know, the public isn't educated enough to understand what's in the memo. I don't have a high school diploma. I don't have any type of degree at all. Reading through that memo, man, are you right? Dead on. It definitely doesn't uncover who did what, but definitely uncover some shadiness where the FISA courts are saying, hey, you know, there's certain things you can't be doing, and people are just turning away, blind eye. And by God, I really hope something comes out of this because, you know, Trump's doing a wonderful job in office. You know, you can take shots at him where you want, but what he's doing for the economy, what he's doing for the country itself is incredible, man. And I just love every second of it. You know, the surgeons come back in the economy. You can just feel it walking around. You know, you go to a shopping center, it feels like we're coming back to life.
Absolutely. God bless you, and I appreciate your call. This is just out. DOJ says the release of the memo would be reckless and dangerous. They're already saying don't release it this morning. This is new. And they're now saying Representative King says memo will be voted on Monday. What did I say first hour from my sources? They said it looked like there'd be a vote on Monday. That's what I got from my congressional source. And I've tried to get Roger Stone on today. He wasn't scheduled today, but he's got a meeting I'm trying to get him to cancel to come on and get into the news he has on this front. But to be specific, we came on and said he's got a compendium of info from secret FISA memo and other things to expose Obama's involvement, McCabe's involvement, the whole illegal thing. And that's now come out in the news. Then Benny goes, I just got a call. They're saying the secret parts are the excise parts of this memo, but this is the general memo. And he said, look at page 15, look at page 19, like the caller said. By the time he, got 20 pages in, it's FISA court saying, hey, this is illegal what you're doing, and this is illegal with the warrant doesn't say you can do this, and the way you got the warrant's bad. That's the point. It was illegally done. So we know what's in the memo. It just further damns them with all the text messages and all the cover-ups and the secret society and the insurance policy and everything. So what do? They go, Nunes doesn't have anything. That was Monday. Then on Tuesday, Adam Schiff goes, okay, but it's too complex for you to understand it. And now on Wednesday, they say don't release it. On Thursday, it's damaging, it's deadly, it's horrible. No, don't release it, whatever you do. No. And that's what I was told from my sources. And I'm talking Fox News sources, I'm talking congressional sources. They've been told Monday probably. That's what I said at the start of the show today. So there you go, and there's an article just came out. Who is that out from? That's out of the IWB, okay. So we'll look at those statements and that video report and check into that. But that's the same information that we're getting. And it's open and shut, folks, because they testified before Congress the opposite of what is in the memo and what is in the excise memo. And the declassified portion, that's 90% of it or more, it's about 90% of the non-blacked out area, says it was basically illegal. So the FISA court was saying what Obama did for Hillary was illegal. That's pretty bombshell. I mean, that's in this memo. They go, oh, that's not it, Alex, or that's not the secret part. Everybody don't look at that. He's fake news. And half the right-wing or libertarian media jumped on board because it's fun. Oh, Alex must be our competition. Let's tear him down. Let's say he's full of crap. And William Binney, he just ran the NSA. He's like the top whistleblower ever. Screw him. He just got SWAT teamed over it all. He doesn't know anything. Okay, whatever floats your boat. All I know is that's what Benny got told, and he meets with Pompeo at the CIA. I'm going to stop right there. We're told that that's where the pieces come from in this memo, he says, that is the secret FISA memo. Well, that's the big report that's got the whole file of what Obama did to Trump in it. So the excised black parts are the part that's in it. But again, they do this Jedi mind trick. Oh, that's been out for a while. Just shut up, Jones. Okay, fine. Watch and see what comes out in the memo. And then Nunes is going to have a glossary, reportedly. Like I said a few days ago, we were told by congressional sources, they've got it ready. This is what they put out to Congress to show folks what's going on. And now they've given the Democrats time to produce a new memo that they're going to counter this one with. But this is going to be documents and snapshots, and then this person did this and that person did that, and they control this person with their own admissions, and then them perjuring themselves before Congress. But, I mean, I tell you, I've noticed the bigger the news, the more it isn't a big deal. If I put some rumor out, it'd be the top story. But if I've got bona fide document that admits they illegally surveilled Trump during the campaign and when he was president-elect, no one even talks about it or cares. When it's the memo. Who's up next here? I love taking these calls. Let's talk to Josh in Colorado Springs, where the Defense Department shadow government's located. Go ahead, Josh.
Thanks for taking my call, Alex. This memo stuff sounds like something out of a Marvel Comics Hydra, you know?
It does.
But anyways, these people seem to be backed into a corner. They're running out of room. People are paying attention. I think they're going to use some sort of secret technology. I think they're going to try and do a magician. They're going to distract everybody with one hand.
Well, it was the Secretary of Defense, Cohen, that said in 1997 in April to Army Times and in a press conference that governments have tectonic weapons. I mean, what do you think? They might set off an earthquake or something?
I'm thinking possibly more lines of maybe like a Tesla-directed energy or maybe a bioweapon, something where they could use their eugenics control population. I mean, these people are desperate.
They use the anthrax scare to cover up the criminal involvement in 9/11. You're absolutely right. In fact, I think you're right. A biological false flag would be a great way to keep the deep state in place.
Yeah, and think about what Kim Jong-un just used to kill his stepbrother, that chemical X. That stuff was designed by us. So who knows what they could use. We've made most of the stuff.
Josh, do you have more to add?
No, that's all. Thank you, sir.
God bless you. That's amazing. We'll go take you to Switzerland straight ahead. Alex Jones back live, coming to you from the ATX, Austin, Texas. On screen, you see a Fox News camera inside the World Economic Forum as President Trump meets with world business leaders. And we've got the HD footage if you're a TV viewer that Dan Lyman shot earlier today as President Trump with 3 Marine One helicopters, Blackhawks, arrived there in Davos to put in another 18-hour workday. He works about 15 hours a day when he's regularly back in the U.S., 18 hours a day, according to sources. And just as I have been telling you, the 4-page memo is only redacted parts of the FISA memo. And I'm told there could be several as well, but that part of the memo we have is the part that's in there. And we've talked to congressmen. And Matt, one of the producers, said, oh, yeah, Congressman Gates of Florida was on CNN today with Como and said, listen, it's not just the 4-page stuff out of the FISA memo. That's what's damning. Because it shows Clinton running it with Obama. It's all the supporting documentation we're going to put out. And that's what I've been saying since last week, is that it's not just a 4-page memo. They're just talking about super damning stuff in the 4-page memo. Okay? That is out of the larger, previously classified report that the FISA court put out saying we found wrongdoing. Here's what happened. The court reported on what happened. Because it was criminal activity, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what Nunes is getting at. And then the perjury about what the FBI and Justice Department testified about, what they did at FISA. That's why it's critical. But there's all this other accompanying, as I said, breakdown of other accompanying document just like you have a bibliography at the back of a book. And I was saying that last segment because that's what our congressional sources said, and some at Fox News. And look, Roger Stone, you see him on Fox News with other people. He talks to those folks that are his friends. They're getting the same stuff we're getting. That's how he knew about, so many of these firings or so many of these hirings, or that's how he knew about how they were planning to get rid of certain people, was from Fox News. And then they try to spin the fact that, he got it from the Russians. No, you get news from the U.S. news sources. You don't get it from the Russians. But they do this over and over and over again. So I got a lot of other news other than the memo. I want to get into Davos, what Trump's doing there, what's unfolding. I'm going to get back to your calls, Mark and John and Mitch and Candace and Kevin and Dan. Candace will be up next. But for this segment, the next 10, 15 minutes or so, Dan Lyman, Infowars.com reporter, is on the ground in Davos. We haven't talked to him for 24 hours, so a lot has transcribed. You can follow his amazing tweets and information, not just retweeted at Real Alex Jones, but also on his Twitter account that we'll put up on screen for TV viewers. And again, if you're a radio listener, you want to see all the video, the things we're talking about, Infowars.com/show, and it's totally free. But please support our local affiliates. And I almost forgot, we're paying to, have folks cover things in Switzerland, you name it. We're building a real hardcore news organization here that gives the whistleblowers a place to get their information out. So please, InfoWarsStore.com. We have our new Bodies Ultimate Turmeric Formula, way stronger and purer than any other stuff on the market that we know of. We've gone out to put out the very best. It's 50% off out of the gates. $50 off the Alexa Pure Breeze air purification system, 4-stage filter, ion filter, you name it. Leading competitors are $400 to $500. This is $200 is a great deal. $149, it's unbelievably good. It's got 4.9 stars by Power Reviews, 97% reviews. Nobody gets that. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. And again, you cannot find a media organization, and believe me, I know I'm obnoxious, but the guest, everything we do, that's more effective than InfoWars. So thank you for your support. You make the InfoWar possible, and I mean it. I salute you and thank you, but take advantage of our new pollen block that people are just loving. That's all natural. Take advantage of the Bodies Ultimate Turmeric Formula. Take advantage of the specials at InfoWarsStore.com and make this information war continue to be possible. Thank you. All right, Dan Lyman, wow, a lot's happened. We'll be rolling this HD footage in the background while you give us a briefing. Where do you want to start on day one of Davos as President Trump arrives?
Good evening, Alex. Good to be back with you. It was definitely an interesting day with Trump's arrival. The helipad was a lot more crowded than it has been on the other days, which is kind of a slap in the face to the other leaders that have been showing up in the past days that people, I guess, weren't as interested in. It was very crowded out there, but it was great to see him come in. It was magnificent to behold.
Man, the footage you've shot, you must be a professional photographer on top of all your other skills. What's the mood? What are you hearing from locals?
The thing about Trump and the thing about what I'm hearing from people around here is that I would say that even the people who don't like him are still fascinated by the prospect that he's in town. There's a kind of an aura that he brings with him. When I was trying to seek the best vantage point for the helipad, I happened to bump into an Australian woman who does live in the area. And she was walking with me, and she happened to know the lay of the land, so I was kind of sticking with her, and she was very nice. And then eventually she asked me what I think about Trump. And I said, well, I'm an American, but I live here in Switzerland. And she said, oh, well, then that tells me everything I need to know. And I said, actually, it doesn't. And she was very surprised. She just assumed I was one of these expats trying to get away from Trump's America. But in reality, I'm one of his biggest supporters. But and then we kind of went back and forth a little bit. And she said she called him extremely destructive. And I kind of left it off there because I didn't want to get into it with her. She was very nice, but I just don't understand how people can still call Trump destructive. It blows my mind.
Plus, if you actually look at the real numbers, it's globalism that's destructive. It's globalism that's authoritarian. It's globalism that drives down wages. It's globalism that impoverishes the third world. It's globalism that's tax exempt. And so it's just always such an ignorant, ninnying statement from pseudo-intellectuals that might pick up a Rothschild published Economist magazine once or twice a year, and they just restate these talking points over and over again because Trump doesn't want to give a bunch of multinational corporations complete carte blanche to overrun nation states and the voters.
Absolutely, and to follow up with that, she did praise Australia and Switzerland for the kind of they're a little bit set aside from the kind of the globalism in general, especially Switzerland being in the midst of the EU. But she said that's the strengths of these countries, that they're a little bit separated from the the globalist enclave. And I was just thinking in my head, well, that's exactly what Trump wants for the United States. It's not that he doesn't want to do business with these countries and do bilateral agreements. It's just that he doesn't want us interwoven into this globalist economic web that is clearly taking so many first world countries down to a second world status.
You know, that's the funny thing. Most Democrats I know that do have a business will not pay taxes. And the conservatives, I all know, pay them religiously even though they don't like them. And it's the same thing. Leftists will be trying to hide out in the middle of nowhere, and then they never like the policies of globalism, but then here comes Trump destroying it, and then they hate him, and they're only doing it to virtue signal, you see. Even though his ideas actually probably line up with theirs more than a Barack Obama, they just feel good that they're bandwagoning with the media. Don't they get mainstream media is a joke?
Groupthink is very powerful. Collectivism is a powerful drug. So I think that still has a hold on a lot of people's minds. But as we spoke about last night, there is definitely an awakening, and it's happening even at the highest levels, even within Davos. You have the defectors here and there. And this video that you're airing right now, I watched that earlier today. The awe that Trump puts everyone in. He silenced the room. Someone called it that he had turned Davos into Versailles. And it was an incredible reception that he received there. And I think they all know they're in the presence of a lion, a true alpha male.
That's because he's going against the grain. They're a bunch of followers following something set up by the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers at the end of World War II. And they tried to launch the same thing at the end of World War I, and it failed. I mean, they're all just following along, putting their money and power into this thing to build this big unelected world government that no one's ever going to accept, Dan.
I think it's just easier for them. They'd rather have someone else do these things for them and then either be employed by them or just be in the hierarchy somehow above all the plebs and the peasants. Even on the ride in, we're staring at feet of snow, and I overhear people talking about global warming on the way in, and they're attributing it to that. I find that shocking, but as I said, collectivism is a hell of a drug.
Well, it is. I've got articles on Infowars.com where a guy tweeted out there are only two genders and he got fired from his job, and people are calling for more. I mean, there are only men and women. Doesn't matter if you describe yourself as a golden dragon or a beautiful ornate building, or if I describe myself as Colonel Sanders. It's just not true, but it's all about them making us accept what they want us to accept. It's not about being nice to somebody. It's about being in a cult. We'll be back. Stay with us. So Dan Lyman is in Switzerland. He got Trump's arrival, all of it. Amazing. Your calls are coming up the next segment. Mark, John, Mitch, Candace is up first. Kevin, Dan, and many others as we look at the release of the memo, supposedly coming on Monday is what I've been told, but we'll see. You were describing how the press is saying he silenced the room. People were in awe. It was like being at Versailles, which I guess the royal court of the Sun King at Versailles, because it's Macron calling himself the Sun King. Looks like that's starting to happen with Trump without him saying it, Mr. Lyman.
In a way, it was just a video that I caught coming back on the train, and it was just so powerful. The caption had said something to the effect of, "This is true power. Trump silences a room full of media journalists and globalists." And it's true. I mean, these people, they don't shut up. I hear them talking constantly. They're always on the phone. They're talking to each other. And then when you see Trump coming in the room, it's just like every cell phone is out. Everyone's in awe. Trump brings that Trump aura, which it translates so great to just the American aura, the power, confidence through strength, and peace as well. And he just brought that into the room, and you could see that in that video and his entrance in general.
And you see all the followers looking at the Maverick. And Trump.
The man they said.
Go ahead.
The man they said that they couldn't beat the establishment. He couldn't beat the globalists. They were all against him, and now they worship the ground that he walks on, whether they want to admit it or not.
That happened yesterday. Suddenly, the heads of Davos said, we love Trump. I had the headline here. It was like, we love him. It's been a great year. The world economy's better. Thank God for Trump. And it's like suddenly they've all been attacking him. And then now they all start saying, we love Trump. We love Trump. I mean, this just shows how Rockefellers and people were able to bully all these guys into line. Trump's not even bullying it. He's just leading.
No question. You probably covered it earlier in the show, but the Heritage Foundation is saying that Trump's first year was better than Reagan's. And, we'll take that all with a grain of salt. But for, the Heritage Foundation would definitely be, Reagan is the greatest man ever. And for them to put Trump on a pedestal above him, it speaks volumes. Even some of these never Trumpers are coming around. And, he's changing the world at this moment.
No, you're right. The Heritage Foundation did not support Trump. They pitched this, quote, free trade. That means let China have huge tariffs on you with lower taxes and screw us and not have a two-way street. And you're right. They're all starting to get in line.
You know what I did found interesting, and I wanted to ask you about it, actually. Jean-Claude Juncker, the head of the EU, basically, he canceled at the last second, and he cites a stomach flu as the reason for that. Now, if you recall, not too long ago, a few months ago, Juncker was all-out warfare against Trump, and he said he would back Texit against if there was a Texas exit. He was going to get behind that, but of course, he couldn't possibly back Brexit. So I was going to ask you, do you think he bowed out out of cowardice, or do you think he really is sick?
Oh, no. Juncker is literally the greatest heir of the Nazis. His family was the first or second most rich, depending on the history books. The main armories were Juncker bombers, Juncker munitions. That was his grandfather. His father was a top Nazi. And Juncker's family paratrooped into Luxembourg, the richest country in the world per capita, stole the country. He said 13 months ago, we will crush Trump. We control America. We're going to show America economic war. I mean, you can pull that up. In fact, the videos I shot about it were, heir of the Nazi fortune pledges to stop Trump and stop America. And so he's an absolute joke. Why should that piece of Nazi scum, anti-American globalist that opened Europe up to the Islamicists, I mean, he is the head of the unelected EU. He is the enemy. So why would Hitler show up to face Churchill, basically?
Essentially, I do wonder if this was a moment of cowardice on his part or another moment of Trump-cursed divine providence where Juncker goes down with the flu right when Trump comes into town.
Wow, this will be a day long remembered. I love it. God, you watch Juncker and the speeches he gives, he is such an inbred, mental deficient. And he's all, your whole thing's going to hell. We'll be back. We got huge news, by the way. The biggest news, I just got it. They just found the text messages. There's a tactic that's absolutely key that people absolutely must be aware of. Just like Trump said, if you've been here 20, 30 years, you've got a degree, you're working hard, you don't have a big criminal record, whatever, you have a misdemeanor or something, then we're going to let you stay in the country. That would be a fair dream act, and I agree with that myself. But then the media said he wants to kill all the Mexicans, hates them, blah, 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 wants to ban everybody, period. And then when Trump doesn't do that, the right wing goes, oh, my God, he was supposed to throw everybody out who wasn't born here. Well, it's the same thing with Davos. I saw headlines everywhere in the London Guardian and the New York Times. Trump sells out his base last week. He's going to Davos. He's going to kiss the hand of the elite. He walks in, they fall on their faces. The head of the thing, the dictator of the EU, unelected, Juncker, doesn't show up, the heir to the main Nazi fortune. His family was the first or second richest family in Germany. Again, the history books vary, but they're the top Nazis, okay? I mean, they still control European countries that they just own through fraud. So he doesn't show up, and Donald Trump is guaranteed to betray his base. Yeah, I mean, this has been going on for a long time. And then he doesn't betray, and he kills TPP and delivers on the economy, and they still keep flipping out, saying that he's going to sell us out. I'm glad he went for a victory lap. I'm glad he went to talk to the companies that want to move to the United States. There it is. Trump's ready to pull another fast one. The president's trip to Davos has 3 serious issues. And it goes on from there. Oh, yeah, he sure pulled a fast one with our economy coming roaring back and with veterans getting double the amount of visits that they had just a year ago, and the border's 70% secure, and the border wall's starting to go in. Yeah, sure pulled a fast one. And now this big breaking news. We're going to your calls with Dan Lyman, who's in Davos. This is The Hill. It's breaking. I just tweeted it out at Real Alex Jones. DOJ office says it has found the missing text messages of FBI officials. Months of missing text messages between two FBI officials have been located. According to a letter obtained by The Hill, Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz told Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa and Ron Johnson of Wisconsin in a letter that the messages spanning from December of 16 to 17, see, nobody bought this, previously thought missing, they just hit one button, it was in the NSA, due to technology glitch affecting FBI phones have been found. Oh, really? You think so? By the way, Congress has all of it. Trump has all of it. The Office of the Inspector General has been investigating this matter, and this week succeeded in using forensic tools to recover text messages from FBI devices. Oh, of course. Yes. Yes. It's always hard-coded. From the Telecommunications Act of 96, all phones, all printers, all these communication devices save the material. And it's why they've got internal hard drives. The things just stop working in a few years because it fills up. And that's the stuff I told you about a long, long time ago. There it is. Missing text messages, anti-Trump FBI agents uncovered by DOJ. They found them. Infowars.com, now live. We are in a minute-by-minute, play-by-play, second American Revolution war with the deep state. Lou Dobbs comes out and says, it's time to declare war on the deep state. The walls are closing in. Sean Hannity, this isn't rhetoric you've been hearing from me. We're in extraordinary times. This is happening, literally. And I agree with an earlier caller. I want to ask Dan Lyman, and then we're going to let him go and ask the callers this. Then we've got Tyler Nixon coming in, who's a very interesting lawyer and political analyst, really smart guy, and just so happens to be related to Richard Nixon, but we won't get into that part. Good friends with Roger Stone. This is all happening, but I'm telling you, I think they'll release a bioweapon like the earlier caller said. They did that after 9/11 when the globalists were involved with the jihadis and wanted to cover it up when stuff started coming out. They did the anthrax to intimidate Congress into a bunch of stuff. I'm really concerned, as I keep saying, that we not be too celebratory here because they're going to strike back. What do you think, Dan Lyman?
I think that there's no question anything is on the table at this point. I'm honestly surprised things haven't gotten worse in the last year. I thought that there would be more drastic measures taken, although I think that we did see something strange go down in Las Vegas, as we've covered in depth. But I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm so optimistic now at this point, now that we're a year in, but I know not to get my hopes up too high because anything can happen at any given moment, especially with the economy doing so well. And the stock market doing so well. You hear all financial advisors and traders, they say they've never seen a market like this. It's going on longer than they ever thought it would. And I wonder, is the Trump effect going to break this cycle that the globalists have this chokehold they've had on the markets where they, there's a catastrophic event every 8 years or whatever, and then it sends the market into a spiral. Hasn't happened this time around. So I'm wondering what the dams are holding back right now. And it's probably pretty ugly.
Well, I know this. They haven't given up on me. They are still throwing stuff at us that is directly from Hillary, directly from Soros. I'll soon be able to reveal the details of it. I mean, I've even got to go to D.C. in a couple of weeks. I'm not supposed to get into this yet. So just believe me, when I do, we have caught them red-handed, okay? And you can argue I got a tiger by the tail or vice versa, but these are just crazy times. Because, I mean, I wasn't going to put up with their crap. I put counter surveillance on their people, spent a lot of money, and did a lot of stuff and have a lot of help. We'll just leave it at that. And let me tell you, these people are sick. And they're going after everybody. They're going after thousands of prominent people. And you see these congressmen up there, they already tried to kill them. So you think about that, folks. They're trying to kill everybody right now. So, I mean, we kind of smile about this in Texas and, yeah, we're in a fight. Yeah, it's all crazy, but we're not like SJWs that are considering and cry about it. It's actually quite exciting. I'm having a great time. It's just, we're not in Kansas anymore, folks. This is a real deal. Let's go to Candace in Tennessee. Thanks for holding, Candace. You're awesome. You're on the air worldwide with Dan Lyman from Switzerland. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex and Dan. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. First, real quick, I would just like to ask a quick question before I get to my comment.
Sure.
I know you were very busy, but have you and your crew had a chance to pick the winners of the People's Choice Awards yet?
You know, I'm like a guy in a bunker giving orders on that, and I have said these are the winners. They have been picked. And you know what? I'm going to announce them at the end of the show next hour, one way or the other. It's going to happen.
Okay, great. Okay, and also, I agree with the other caller that, these people are just so cornered that, I think that there's going to be a false flag attack for sure.
Well, that's what everybody's group collective mind is saying, and I think you're on target. Keep going, Candace.
Yeah, their darkest secrets are getting exposed, so, they're just like a dog in a corner, and I just think they're going to pull something major.
And they're such arrogant. Whenever you watch Comey or Mueller walk into Congress, bugging their eyes out like they're God, all these guys behind them, all these lawyers just going like they are just the best people in the world when they're those guys are the Clinton scum are the trash of the earth. They're like cancer inside the FBI, and they are so arrogant. Imagine all that hubris is getting wiped away, Candace, right now.
Yeah, that's great. They're just sickening, so it's good to see them be put in their place.
Absolutely, but don't think they're the types that will blow themselves up to stop the recovery. What do you think, Dan? What's your gut tell you?
No question, and I think that it's not even just a U.S. crisis at this point for them. It's on an international scale, so we should be prepared for anything, anywhere, to be honest, not just in the United States.
That is the smartest thing I've heard all day, and I've heard a lot of really intelligent statements. You're right. North Korea, we know the globalists behind the scenes are winding up Rocket Man.
No question. We definitely have to keep an eye on everything. I mean, you have there's actually Turkey just invaded Syria last week. That could kick back up again. I have a Syrian bartender, actually. I'm sorry, a barber, not a bartender. A barber. He's a Syrian Kurd, and he was asking me what I thought about the invasion of Syria by Erdogan, and he even said Erdogan equals ISIS to him. And so, I mean, we have to even keep an eye on that situation. You have Trump's basically eradicated ISIS in the span of a year, just like he promised, and all of a sudden there's a new conflict in Syria. So let's keep an eye on that for sure.
That's right, and they are attacking U.S.-backed Kurds. I mean, a whole war started there, and that's in my stack. I need to get to that. Absolutely. All right, let you get back on the street. Dan Lyman from Infowars.com. Great job with all the work you're doing. We'll be following everything you do. Thank you so much. We'll be back with more calls, more breaking news. They found the text. Roger Stone has got big inside intel on the vaunted secret FISA memo coming up in the next segment. We'll continue with your calls as well. We've got a very clear picture of what's in it. And now if you look at Congressman Gates and Congressman Jordan and Congressman Nunes and Chairman Nunes and Congressman Gowdy and everybody else, and how panicked Adam Schiff is, the head of the Judiciary Committee on the Democrat side in the House, you know what's in it. And we've already know the pieces of the puzzle, so we're going to put them together coming up. And as I heard last night, Monday's the target date. Well, now that's being reported that they're looking to have a vote on Monday, but they're not sure yet. So that's coming up. I want to go back to your calls, but Kit Daniels, I haven't seen him smiling this big. And well, he smiles all the time, but he's a happy guy. But one of our great writers, Kit Daniels, came in here with this article, and he said, this is like Trump in Davos is like George Washington getting on a ship in the middle of the Revolutionary War and going into King George III's court and just basically getting right in his face. And that's what's happened. And Trump is delivering on everything he said he would do yet again. And it's not a love fest. They're trying to destroy him with secret cabals because he's returning sovereignty to the country. I don't like how he's been bullied into escalating conflict with Russia. I don't like that he's not going after the vaccines and all that kind of stuff. I've got some big issues, but let me tell you, he's really our president. This is wild. Vox reporting why Trump is going to Davos, the world's biggest party for globalist elites, explained. Trump is attending to both boast and confront the crowd that disdains him. Absolutely. Trump is tending to both boast and confront the crowd that disdains him. That is a report came out a few days ago, and that is exactly what I'm saying, and that is exactly what we're now seeing. So there you go. Didn't go to Davos, didn't sell us out. Very, very exciting. Here's from the article that Kit Daniels wrote. But now, thanks to Trump, Brexit, and the ongoing migrant crisis, average Europeans are starting to question why they're losing their cultures and identities to the EU. And they look to Trump as the Howard Rourke-style American cowboy whose undeterred rebellion against a legion of doom inspires their own individual thoughts and opinions. So there you go. Right now, let's go back to your phone calls. Who's been holding the longest here? Mark in Iowa, thanks for holding her on the air worldwide. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. Thank you for taking my call. I want to say God bless you, your crew, and your family.
Thank you, sir. You too.
Turn the radio on and get the truth. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Alex,
Welcome.
I was wondering, well, thanks. I was wondering, in a nutshell, if in 1776, our forefathers were in a room, put pen to paper, and coming up with the Declaration of Independence. In short, it was because the government came and asked to govern. Our forefathers wrote this down, said, if you govern this way, you can govern, in a nutshell, I guess. So if now today we're finding out that every single three-letter agency of the federal government, the DOJ, CDC, you name it, FBI, CIA, all these entities, all of them, have screwed over the American people, couldn't we cancel our contract and fire them all? I mean, what is the government so worried about? Why do they think we're newborn?
Well, sure, we've got a major broken social contract. I'm trying to fix the country and restore the republic. We're still going to have major problems and ongoing fights. It's just the current embedded, arrogant group of criminals that have gotten away with anything you can imagine are now finding out they're not invincible. But if we successfully remove these crooks, I intend to see more integrity come back in. And if we don't see that, then we need to continue to hold their feet to the fire regardless. That's what eternal vigilance is all about. And I want to see the government shrunk in size. I don't want to just see tax cuts. I want to see deficits paid down. I want to see a lot of things. And Trump's just stabilizing things right now. He's got to use a bubble so we don't stall out. China's got bubbles much bigger than ours. But I certainly hope that down the road, we then put pressure to stabilize the country.
Great. Yeah, I agree. One more quick question, if you would, Alex. I grew up in Illinois, and in Illinois, if I had a birthday yesterday, I got caught driving today, I would go to jail. So if we know beyond a shadow of a doubt these people are committing treason by sedition, why are they not picked up? Because in Illinois, if I got caught driving on a one-day license that has expired by just one day, they haul my car, tow it, that's $400-some-odd, and I go to jail for 3 days.
No, I totally understand. This is the issue people have with illegal aliens. Illegal aliens, when they have wrecks and hit people, the judges just let them go. That's admitted on the news. Citizens get the book thrown at them because citizens are seen as cash cows. I don't care if you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, old, young. You get the book thrown at you. Illegals don't, because the judges all over the country, including Republican districts, just tell people, oh, leave them alone. They're kind of the underclass. They're the permanent worker class going back to when they were brought in to pick, the fields or whatever, and being used to drive down everybody else's wages. I want to bring folks in and then raise the wages up, not use that model. So ever since they've been brought into some areas as migrant workers, before they were made a permanent underclass of the Democrats, back when they were just seasonal farmers that came through and then went back to Mexico, they had to be ignored and above the law then because we were using them. Well, they're still being used, but it's being used to undermine everything and is discriminatory to citizens that have the book thrown at them. I mean, I was talking to judges and people and others. They let illegal aliens off for drunk driving, you name it, because, again, Art Acevedo, the former Austin police chief, now the Houston police chief, he's been in this studio and said, Alex, if we arrest illegal aliens for stuff or whatever, then they won't trust us when there's a crime and we're needed. Okay, so basically for really serious aggravated felonies, then you're saying illegal aliens are above the law. And then it creates a vacuum where there's no law enforcement and no law, and then criminals come in and prey on those communities, and they know they can prey on the Asian and Hispanic communities that are homogeneous and contained. And then that's where the majority of the crime is committed against those people, and then nothing's done, and it creates criminal zones within the cities, within the counties, and a permanent underclass. So I absolutely agree with you, sir. Your inspection sticker's out. You get pulled over. You get a ticket. Maybe you get your car towed. And if you're a single mom with 3 kids in the back of the car, the cops will be told, go ahead and write her tickets. But if you're a person here illegally, that doesn't happen. But if I'm in Mexico and I'm the foreigner it's well known that a lot of the police are corrupt. And I've watched my dad and other people many times give him a $20 bill, $100 bill or whatever, saying you were speeding, even though my dad wasn't speeding. He drives like an old lady. It's incredible. I've saw it 5, 6 times when I was a kid, and I said, Dad, I don't want to come down here anymore. So by the time I was about 12, he said, fine, stay with your grandparents when you go out of town, because they love southern Mexico. I mean, and I like it too. It's very pretty and a lot of cool stuff. But the point is that I feel you, brother, and I know what you're talking about. Now it's not even really like that. The old corrupt cops, they're pretty much all gone, and it's just paramilitary troops everywhere and super, super dangerous. So will be, and of course, that's where corruption leads. It just gets worse and worse. All right, Roger Stone, straight ahead. On the other side, I'm Alex Jones, newswars.com. All right, I want to try to be calm here because this is so important, and I tend to get too excited, as everybody knows. Walk through what we know is already known about illegal spying on candidate Trump, President-elect Trump, and then right into the time that he was actually inaugurated, plus surveillance and harassment and lawsuits against myself, Roger Stone, you name it, by the Hillary law firm, by the Soros groups, by Obama's law group that he set up to, quote, battle Trump once he was in office. That's CNN, that's Politico. I mean, this is all admitted. But it's all coming to a head now as we learn the real collusion, the real secret societies, the real stuff that was going on, were a bunch of FBI agents and Justice Department people inside of the Obama administration who'd been appointed by the Clintons engaging in this massive crime. And now Chairman Devin Nunes and others are each week rolling out what's going to be released the next week. The collusion, the secret meetings, the insurance policies, the deputy director getting money from Hillary directly. It goes on and on and on. And Schiff's gone from this isn't real to desperately saying don't release it to we're putting our own memo out. I know Roger has given me a lot of intel from folks that have seen the memo. And it's basically what they've already said, but more damning text messages and more collusion and more secret meetings. And, of course, this stuff is all recoverable by the NSA. But it's very embarrassing with all this illegal spying to admit where they're really getting it. But we knew this was coming when senators and others started saying yesterday, oh, don't worry, we'll just get that out of the NSA database. Missing text between anti-Trump FBI agents uncovered by the DOJ. People didn't buy that there was a glitch on the phones that made them all disappear, 50,000. DOJ office says it has found missing text messages of FBI officials. They were able to pull it off of the phones between Strzok and his girlfriend, Paige. And so the rabbit hole just gets deeper and crazier. So, Roger, let's encapsulate what we're seeing, the cornered rat scenario, the walls closing in, the deep state's war against America and the electorate now exposed. I think we've reached the point of maximum danger with these people cornered as Trump dominates at Davos. How are they going to strike back? What's the intel you've got of what's in the memo? How much can you tell folks? And how accurately from your research have I gotten stuff here?
Well, Alex, let's try to summarize this because it's all coming at us so quickly it can be somewhat confusing. The 100-page FISA document that we put up at InfoWars essentially was summarized in the 4-page memo. The basic underlying information is essentially the same. And here's how it goes. In essence, the dirty dossier, the dossier which falsely accused Donald Trump of dallying with prostitutes in a Moscow hotel room, a complete and total fabrication, was used as the fake rationale to go to the FISA court and get permission for the wholesale surveillance of Donald Trump and some of his closest associates, including yours truly. The problem for the deep state is that when the FISA court initially denied their requests, they went ahead with the surveillance anyway. So this entire investigation, Mueller, the House and Senate Intelligence Committee investigations, the FBI investigation into so-called Russian collusion, is all based on a willful fabrication. And the reason you see the rats scrambling today is because it is not credible that the entire front line of the Obama NSA, the Obama Justice Department, the Obama FBI did this without authority from the highest possible level. You notice that President Barack Obama lawyered up today. Why? Because we are beginning to ask the obvious question. What did the president know, and when did he know it? The deep state was in such a tizzy to stop Donald Trump that they fabricated the initial piece of evidence on which everything afterwards is based. Oh, we have to spy on him because he's in bed with the Russians. That was a falsehood from the get-go, and it is on that thin reed that it all collapses. The credit, Alex, in my opinion, really goes to Matt Gaetz, Congressman Ron DeSantis, Congressman Jim Jordan, Congressman Trey Gowdy. While the country club Republicans were all out at a cocktail party, these four brave individuals stayed the course and kept pounding for the truth.
And I've mentioned this quite a bit, but you're absolutely right. This morning, I was just sitting back thinking about the American people waking up, about the real press we've got in this country, our great crew, all of us together. But I really sat back and I thought, why is it different now? It's not just that Trump showed up on the scene or that nationalism's popping everywhere. It's like the spirit. It's the times we're in. Historians always marked that, you know, there were times of tyranny, times of enlightenment, times of awakening, times of war, times of peace. I guess as Proverbs says, a time to live, a time to die, a time to sow, a time to reap. And right now, we suddenly have this wonderful crop of congressmen and women, but mainly men, that are doing bold things that a lot of congressmen have had their planes blow up. You know, got killed during the 70s and 80s. We had some good people back then, too. And a lot of them ended up, you know, dying, being assassinated. And so this is a big, big deal. And, of course, you know, we have QAnon saying that he's hired counsel. But the word is they're all lawyering up, and that's in the mainstream news. So I don't go off what QAnon says. You know, a lot of what QAnon says is really accurate stuff. It is obviously some intelligence sources in the government that are patriots. But we can see them all luring up in the real world. Roger, can you speak to that a little bit more?
Well, also, there are some ominous clouds on the horizon. As you know, when Paul Manafort was indicted with him was his longtime associate, Rick Gates. Manafort and Gates are a pawn in Mueller's game. They could get off the hook easily if they would simply agree to bear false witness against the president, which they both resolutely refused to do. But is it coincidental that Rick Gates' spokesperson was killed in his hotel room only 2 days ago, as reported by CNN? Is this a warning shot for those who would question the deep state? That report, I can tell you, sent chills up my spine, upset my wife very substantially. Now we learn that some of the text messages that were missing related to discussion of bumping off the president. Yes, I just said it. The A word, assassination. I have said two things from the beginning here at InfoWars. First of all, that the FISA court disclosures last November that 30,000 people had been illegally and unconstitutionally surveilled was the key to this entire scandal. And then secondly, that the deep state had a 4-stage program. Stage 1, the Electoral College and a recount. Stop Trump there. It failed. We now know that General James Clapper, a criminal, a traitor, a man now teaching ethics at Roanoke College, who should be in prison based on the fact that he perjured himself in front of the Congress about the existence of the metadata program, actually was plotting to use a Supreme Court justice to somehow delay Donald Trump's inauguration and his actual swearing in on the Bible. That's how desperate these criminals were, Alex.
Wait a minute. Stay right there. I didn't know that. That must be something new or something I missed. Wow. Tell us about that when we come back, because we know they were talking about delaying the inauguration, and if Clapper was involved, it's the same guy that that caught line to Congress. That's just insane. This is starting to make my head spin. And then I've got a whole nother story I haven't gotten to. Wait till we cover that. All right, this is the Alex Jones Show. I'm Alex Jones, your host. John Rappaport's hosting the 4th hour. I'll host some of that with him. And then Owen Schroyer and Roger Stone coming back in for the War Room, 3 to 6 p.m. You got David Knight, of course, with the David Knight transmission that is 8 a.m. Central every weekday morning. And I do the Sunday broadcast 4 to 6 p.m. as well. I wanted to hit this, but then now more news just broke. First off, 3 or 4 days ago, they start sending out tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of emails. A couple of our crew got it. Paul Watson got it, saying, Russian bots run you during the election. And a lot of people said, wait, I didn't even have my account until after. And then they went and looked at their tweets. It was them. So then we have all these people like Adam Schiff and others of the House Judiciary Committee, the head Democrat, telling Twitter, yes, ban all these people. They are basically Russian agents. And everybody backlashed. And Twitter actually sent out a public statement saying, no, we've looked, they're Americans. Adam Schiff knows that. The boldness now of moving from Roger Stone and Alex Jones and Matt Drudge and Tucker Carlson and Rand Paul are agents of Putin. Those are quotes. Remember McCain on that Senate floor? You're an agent of Putin, Rand Paul. And I guess the next step is we'll get you at the baseball game next time. I mean, this is what they've told themselves. These are crazy people. And now they're saying hundreds of thousands of people, of Americans are, see, we're all evil. Meanwhile, this just broke at the Hill newspaper. GOP panics as signs point to imminent Mueller blockbuster. The scorched earth attacks against the FBI by a growing number of House and Senate Republicans demonstrate a high degree of fear that Special Counsel Robert Mueller, Swan Mueller Sass, U.S. should, and then I guess there's a blurb there, should applaud the choice of Mueller to lead the Russian probe. More will make blockbuster moves. That's their weird typo, jumbled insanity. Doesn't even make sense. Moves to the coming days and weeks that will define the fate of ongoing investigations of the Russian attack against America. So they just state this hoax again. And then it says, oh, the Republicans are doing this because they're desperate. No, they're not desperate. We've caught them red-handed. We have Strzok in text messages saying there's no evidence of any Russian collusion. What are we going to do? Roger, this is just insane when you look at all this. I mean, they're not giving up.
No, Alex, I think that they're capable of great violence. We saw that in the attack on Congressman Scalise. I myself, in the wake of the murder of Rick Gates' spokesman, have taken on personal security. I know on some occasions you have to use it. I really did it for my wife's peace of mind. They aren't going to silence us. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep pushing for the truth. Now suddenly, Adam Schiff and Dianne Feinstein, those great liberals who normally like full disclosure and transparency, oh no, the American people can't see this information. It's too complicated for them. They won't understand it. That's because it is a blueprint of treachery. That's because it is a roadmap of treason. That's why they have violated, as I said yesterday on the War Room show, multiple federal laws, including laws against sedition, treason, conspiracy, plotting to take down the government. No, Mueller and his cohorts are the ones who must face prison, in my opinion.
Just first off, for people watching on Skype, this is some really good product placement. Tell me about the new athletics program you're involved in.
Well, I have, yesterday I had Amin Alai, who's a personal trainer who I've been associated with for 20 years, come on the War Room show and talk about both Caveman, which he highly advocates in a program with the high-quality whey protein that we sell at InfoWars. And he has had enormous success with this program. I'm really trying to stick to it. One body part a day, cardio every other day, sticking to the InfoWars format. And he came on to give a little testimonial to our products, which he's a big fan of. And in the meantime, he is providing some personal security for me and my family.
I like that. It's almost like like you're Saddam Hussein. We usually need 2 guys behind you. But with balaclavas and machine guns.
I wish this was something to laugh about, Alex, but the number of death threats, every time I do the Alex Jones show, every time I'm on Fox News, they just spike. I was on with Laura Ingraham last night on Fox talking about why it's a mistake for the president to give this interview to Mueller. It's a perjury trap. It's a setup. The death threats against me immediately spike. It's really for my wife and my family's peace of mind.
Well, that's awesome. Roger, you are something else. Getting back to all this other news here, do you think they have anything else up their sleeve, any other fake bombshells? Because, I mean, they are getting torn to hell right now, and this is their spin that the GOP is panicking.
Alex, here's the game plan for Mueller. I've laid it out before, but now I think both pieces of it are obvious. Mueller's going to indict the president's son-in-law on some phony, trumped-up charge of lying to an FBI agent. They're going to claim that he was the one who instructed General Flynn, a great patriot, a man who was unjustly and unfairly discharged, in my opinion, with setting up a meeting with the Russians. Well within the purview of General Flynn's job, part of his responsibilities as the national security advisor. In my opinion, it's smart to be talking to the Russians. They have thermonuclear weapons. They can blow the entire world to hell.
No, I totally agree with you. Let's shift gears quickly then. What else are they going to do as their cornered rats? Because that's what everybody's spidey sense is concerned about. A, B, look at Trump in Davos. They're like in awe, and it looks like another big coup for America.
It's the 1-2 punch, the indictment of Kushner, followed by some effort to entrap the president, who thinks he's going to an interview to talk about Russian collusion. Look, I sympathize with the president. I know why he's willing to give this interview. He knows in his heart he's done nothing wrong. He knows in his heart that there was no Russian collusion. What he doesn't understand is that Mueller and his pack of partisan hacks are weasels, and they're going to try to euchre him, box him into some obstruction of justice charge or some perjury charge. That's what they have coming. Those are the bombshells that the Hill is referring to.
That's right. And you told me before Trump was even elected, you said Kushner's not a bad guy, he's a good guy, but, you know, business dealings, real estate, the FBI could indict a ham sandwich, and Kushner doesn't think he's done anything wrong, so he's been blabbering to everybody as well, and Mueller's gone and interviewed all these people now, so they're going after Kushner because he was nice to them.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, Alex. Jared Kushner's done nothing wrong that I'm aware of other than try to help his father-in-law make America great again. We disagree politically, but I do think his heart's in the right place, and he strongly favors the success of the Trump administration. What he doesn't understand is that Mueller is not a by-the-book prosecutor. This is not an unbiased process. This is a small nest of partisan rats that seek to box the president so that they can remove him. All they want to do is undo what they couldn't do in the election last November.
By the way, I do like the fact you have security there. We have security as well. I'm just making the joke because there's a muscle guy behind you. But seriously, you could also hold up your firearm, Roger, because everybody knows you're a crack shot. They've seen the videos, and they know that you're heavily armed. So I think that's the real reason that you and your wife, everybody are safe. Plus, this fellow here, I wouldn't start anything with him either.
Well, it's for our family's peace of mind. Alex, I can't tell you how many death threats I get by email, by text, in the mail. We've informed the local sheriff's office. We could tell the FBI, but I have a feeling we'd be wasting our time.
All right, brother. Great job. We appreciate you. We'll check in with you again tomorrow. We have a reporter in Davos as well with amazing footage and reports coming back. That's coming up as well. I'll be hosting part of the 4th hour straight ahead with the great John Rappaport. Thank you, Roger Stone.
We'll be back shortly on The War Room. Don't miss it.
That's in about an hour and 5 minutes from now. Before we go any further, because I've barely been plugging the last week because I'm so focused on the news. Thank you for making InfoWars possible. Thank you for allowing us to send these reporters around the world to have people cover these big events. We have the new product that I'm so excited about. It's the Ultimate Turmeric Formula Body Ease, or Body Ease. Body Ease. Whole body support, amazing, powerful, concentrated 400+ milligrams of concentrated turmeric, and all the great things it does in every capsule, along with a bunch of other amazing things that supercharge it: organic sage leaf, organic lemon balm leaf, organic thyme leaf, pepperine from black pepper, and so much more. Boswellia, if I'm pronouncing that right. This is an amazing formulation. InfoWarsStore.com. It just came out this week, and it is 50% off, so you can try it at that introductory price. It probably won't be 50% off for another year. Take advantage of that. Stay with us. We'll be back hour number 4. And John Rappaport's taking over in about T-minus 6 minutes, or exactly 6 minutes from now. I just want to say it again. Everybody that's been listening for 20 years, 15 years, you know I was super negative, super angry, and after the establishment, and just discrediting the entire power structure because it was bad. And it doesn't mean we're still don't have a lot of problems, but nationalism, free market, folks that aren't out to get you, that's what's entering the world again. And the world is turning against globalism. And a lot of top people don't want to be part of this either. So it's a very exciting time. But I wanted to get in this little segment into the hypocrisy of the media and just how dumb they think you are. It's a total conspiracy theory that the Russians stole the election and controlled Trump and controlled his family, and there was all this collusion. And in years and years of investigation, it's been going on for 2+ years, nothing found. And then on the other side, all the illegal wiretaps and all the spying and all the lying and all the deleting text and all the secret societies and all the insurance policies. And then Joe Scarborough goes on television and says, just stop your conspiracy theories because you are making America less safe. That's what they get down to now. And just nebulous conspiracy theories when they're the ones putting out the conspiracy theories. We told everybody, Samsung Galaxy phones of that type, I even knew this when I heard it, but then all the tech experts came out and said you cannot erase them without burning them. The governments have demanded, the U.S. government mainly in telecommunication acts, going back to 96, that they have encryption keys. I'm not the tech guy. The point is, they never really erase the data. It's how it's organized. It just rewrites it to say, you can now write over this. But it's still there. And so, of course, the Justice Department then announced today, oh, we were able to get in the 50,000 emails. Because no one bought it. They had to back off. Okay? It's a conspiracy theory to say it's erased. Because the FBI knows above everybody, going back, the first thing was like 35 years ago, they were scared of counterfeiting. So they got the printer companies to put secret codes in the ink so they could tell when you bought it and who you were and all that. And of course, now that's known. So let's go to Scarborough, man. You talk about conspiracy theories. This guy is the biggest discredited joke in the galaxy. Here he is.
Who is the informant that Ron Johnson's talking?
The McCarthy
accusation.
I mean, you know, one of the worst things about this, incidentally, the FBI does make mistakes, and there are problems with the FBI, and you do want congressional oversight of our executive branch institutions, and this discredits sort of, I think, legitimate efforts to say, wait a second, let's take a look at this or that.
This dirty pool that is being played by members of...
That neocon that they have on, his father was the head of the Trotskyites and reported directly, William Kristol, to Trotsky, who Stalin had killed in Mexico with an ice axe. He is third in command from Trotsky. And they said, we got to take the Republicans over if we're going to have communism be successful. And there it sits. Thought I'd just add that. He's not going to tell you that. Go ahead. Even the New York Times, though, admits that. Very proud of it, though. That is the heir to Trotsky. Let's continue.
That is being played by members of the Senate and the House and the administration. You're undercutting the foundation of this democracy.
Okay, that's enough. And he gets into his conspiracy theory crap. I want to add this. Her dad was the head architect of winning World War III with the Russians, who had bragged that he helped have genocide by manipulating the situation in Cambodia that killed 30% of the population. Zbigniew Brzezinski. I mean, I could just keep hitting you and hitting you and hitting you. See, when you know who these people are, and then you got Scarborough with the dead intern and the autopsy they wouldn't do, and you just are looking at a bunch of scum. I mean, it's just, I can go through every one of these people on TV, man. It's like North Korea, where you have a third-generational dictator. These scumbags, then their kids end up ruling over us. I mean, I guess Mika and Scarborough are going to pop one out that'll be our new god and dance around America's grave. Not on my watch, scumbags. We'll be back with John Rappaport.
John Rappaport here in the 4th hour, sitting in for Alex at InfoWars. I was talking on a show earlier today, and I just want to kind of finish up on a theme that I think is in line with what Alex was talking about and what's really going on here. There's a little item called achievement. Know that word? Achievement. It's not taught anymore. It's not elevated anymore in schools. The idea that great achievements can be made, especially launched by an individual. Oh, whew, can't have that. But achievement in general has taken a very far back seat to the idea of some kind of giant cheese glob of collectivism in our society. Oh, we're all in this together, and so does, and we're all the same, and the thing, and the glob, and the floating around, and oh yes, and just be part of the group and the collective, and just for the sake of utopia that's coming right around the corner. All of this preposterous crap has been floated now. Seriously floated now for the last 30 or 40 years. And achievement, where did that go? Achievement, the great achievements. I came of age in New York City. I used to stand out there at night on rooftops, go up to the top of the Empire State Building. You look out New York City at night. What an incredible sensation that this has been built, that this all was made, that this all came up out of the ground by human effort. It wasn't lowered from a spaceship. Somebody didn't just snap their fingers and it appeared. It was created and designed and built up to the sky. It just marches out to the horizon at night. This fantastic sense of expansion, achievement, taking wing. And maybe you've seen the old photographs in black and white. High steel, workers sitting up there on way above the ground, on girders in the middle of the day, eating their lunch casually. They built them. They built them. And when they came down finally for the end, when it was all done, they looked up there and they said, we built this. We built this. Achievement. And now you have all kinds of globalist front groups, little diabolical creatures scurrying along that want to tear it all down. Tear it all down. Get rid of the whole thing. Let's tear it all down, because that'll be righteous. That will be payback. For what? For what? What are you going to put in its place? People looking across the land for tubers and roots and living in trees? Is that what you want? Is that going to be final social justice? There are so many fantastic places around the world. When you see them and you look at them and you stand there and you realize how they have been built by people, created, invented, designed, labored over, constructed, fantastic things. You go to the Frick Museum, a little museum in New York City, and you see 2 or 3 magnificent paintings by Vermeer. You go to the Metropolitan Museum and you look at a few fantastic paintings by Van Eyck. you begin to get a sense of achievement that takes wing, that is still at the heart and the root of what the future is all about. If it's not about that, it's not about anything except destruction, tearing it all down. And of course, that's what the arch globalists want to do. That's where they want to go, because then they can rebuild it in their image. That is the image of the machine, where the humans are machines and the machines are machines, and everything is run like clockwork, technocratically. Everything is on schedule. Everything is on time. Everything is measured out by small drips and drabs. People are in slots. People are units, ciphers, non-entities of no concern, no regard, except as ant colonies of the future. That is their version of achievement. And for that, they do not need people. They do not need people. And they certainly don't need people to be inspired to want to achieve. You want to achieve. If you can't see that or find it, it's covered up, and you need to get the dross out of the way and clear down to that river of creative energy that is achievement, that is the basis of freedom, the reason for freedom, to achieve in this world. The Erie Canal. Ever hear of it? In the early 19th century, New York City, which was the major center of commerce, certainly in the New World, was blocked off from the interior of the country where there were, endless resources. There was no possibility of trade. You had mountains in the way, and you had pack animals. And how were you going to build any kind of market, free market, economy? Impossible. But the governor of New York, DeWitt Clinton, an individual who was all about achievement, said, guess what? We're going to build a 363-mile canal from Albany, New York, connecting to the Great Lakes and thereby into the interior of America so that we can ship goods, trade back and forth by water. People thought he was completely crazy. Clinton's folly, Clinton's ditch. This was not with technology of present day. This was people grabbing the guts of the land and saying, we are going to build with what we have 363 miles of canal from Albany through mountains, across mountains to the Great Lakes, and thereby opening up the whole interior of the United States. Well, you can't do that. That's ridiculous. All the little diabolical demons nipped at his heels, because that's all they can do. They can't do anything themselves. They can't create anything. All they can do is gnaw away like little rats. He paid no attention to that and said, of course we're going to do it. And he did it. And they did it. All the people who worked on that did it. It was completed in 1825. This was the same DeWitt Clinton who said, at a time when most of the people living in Manhattan and New York City lived at the bottom. I'll tell you that story when we come back from the break. It's quite fantastic. John Rappaport here for InfoWars. John Rappaport here in the fourth hour on InfoWars. Before I finish that story, I want to tell you about one of the products at InfoWars store. Alexa Pure Breeze air purifier is now $50 off with free shipping only for a limited time. Houses are filled with dust, bacteria, allergens, and so forth. With this purification system, Alexa Pure Breeze, You can remove up to 99.97% of airborne toxins and contaminants. It's a game changer. Comparable units cost as much as $800. We're bringing it to you for a special $50 off with free shipping. Look into this and know you're contributing to the InfoWar. To get the truth out there about what's happening in our world and what the difference is between a fake future and a real future for all of us. Products at InfoWarsStore.com. The Alexa Pure Breeze Air Purifier, $50 off with free shipping for a limited time. So I was talking about DeWitt Clinton before the break and how he masterminded and envisioned and pushed forward this fantastic thing called the Erie Canal in 1825. Well, he did something else in New York. If you've ever been to Manhattan, you know it's a grid. It's laid out as a grid. The avenues go north and south, First Avenue, Second Avenue, Third Avenue, Fourth, so forth, some with names, most with numbers. And the streets across 14th Street, 15th, 16th, 17th, 23rd, et cetera, all the way up to the top of Manhattan. Well, in the early days of Manhattan, most people lived at the bottom. And when you looked north, what did you see? Hills, valleys, forests, and so on and so forth. How would you build a city there? A metropolitan city such as New York became? DeWitt Clinton said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take the area, the uninhabited area north of where people are living, and we're going to flatten it. What? Yeah, we're going to flatten it. We're going to carve away all those hills, everything, and we're going to make it flat, and we're going to build a giant city there. Now, some people say, oh, my God, that's horrible, whatever. But this is how the magnificent achievement called New York City, Manhattan, developed. That's how it was done. And again, all the little scurrilous creatures were trying to nip at his heels and say this was insane and you couldn't do it. It couldn't be done. He said, it's going to be done. And it was. And that's why Manhattan is pretty flat. And that's why the city extended north of where it was. And that's how this magnificent achievement called New York City came to being. Achievement. The young do not hear this word the way it used to be heard. It's not taught the way it used to be taught. This is what comes out of freedom, real freedom. And this is what terrifies the controllers who want to make this planet into a machine in which the humans are machines. Achievement. Your achievement, my achievement, every individual's achievement. Okay, so you've heard a great deal now about the secret House memo and what it contains and what it might contain and what happens if it's released and so forth and so on. Well, there's another secret memo, which I call, for purposes of discussion, the secret medical memo. This is a blockbuster. But the funny thing about it is that it's not secret at all. It's open information. The information has already been published in open journals. It's there. It accuses, by implication, one of the biggest agencies of the federal government, several actually, of mass murder. And yet nothing has happened. The medical memo. Story number 2. I'm going to read from my piece today, why the FDA should be charged with murder. If you worked for a federal agency that was killing people at the rate of 100,000 a year, every year like clockwork, and if you knew it, wouldn't you feel compelled to say or do something about it? I think I can assure that 99.9999% of the people listening to this program would say, you bet, absolutely. And yet the people who are committing these crimes do not feel that way at all. They are not like you or me. They are different. Smoking guns on the memo. Open secrets in the literature. I don't usually make the citations on air, but I'm going to just to show you that it's there. BMJ, British Medical Journal, online, June 7th, 2012. Author, Gene Lenzer. Refers to a report by the Institute for Safe Medication Practices, quote, the report calculated that in 2011, prescription drugs were associated with 2 to 4 million people in the U.S. experiencing, quote, serious, disabling, or fatal injuries, including 128,000 deaths. Prescription drugs associated with that in 2011. The report called this, quote, one of the most significant perils to humans resulting from human activity, end quote. It's quite a smoking gun, wouldn't you say? And the final dagger, the report was compiled by outside researchers who went into the FDA's own database of serious adverse medical drug events, otherwise known as death and destruction. Now, therefore, you can't say that the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, was unaware of all of this. Of course, they have been aware of all of this. In fact, they are the agency, the only agency in America that approve medical drugs for public use. If you don't get their seal of approval, you can't sell your drugs in America. They approve as safe and effective. 128,000 deaths a year from the drugs they approve. We'll have more after the break. This is John Rappaport sitting in for Alex in the 4th hour at InfoWars. John Rappaport here in the 4th hour sitting in for Alex. The products at InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. To say they fund the InfoWars, it's a very simple thing to understand. You get the products that you want for your health. You support the operation that gets out the truth, that stands on the frontier of the takeover, against that takeover, beyond that takeover by people who want to put you into the collective on a physical level, on a mental level, on a spiritual level. That's their war. The InfoWar is about freedom. It's about achievement. It's about a better future for real, not the fake better future that's being sold to everybody by the controllers. So whenever you buy a product at InfoWarsStore.com, you support that. That's what you're supporting. That's what it's all about. So let me continue now with the secret medical memo, which is not secret at all because it's been out in the open all this time. For some reason, the mainstream press just doesn't report on it. Wow, what a shock, huh? And for some reason, the federal government doesn't do anything about it, even though they're responsible for it. What a shock, right? And isn't it interesting that the medical destruction that I'm talking about here is part and parcel of a cartel, the medical cartel, that is one of the strongest, if not the strongest arm of that movement called globalism. Because if you are going, and I never get tired of saying this, to take over a planet, you need to find a way to weaken the enemy from within, to confuse, disorient, debilitate, destroy, weaken. And that's what the effects of all of these medical drugs that I'm talking about are in the secret medical memo. So let's go to the next citation. Dr. Barbara Starfield, July 26, 2000, Journal of the American Medical Association. She was at the time a revered public health expert at the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health. Mainstream credentials up and down the line. I like to quote these sources. Why? I understand that independent researchers peg medical destruction even higher than here, quite a bit higher. But when I quote mainstream, meticulous medical sources, the government can no longer deny and say, well, it's just people on the fringe. No, they're not. They're people in the heart of the establishment who blew the whistle. Dr. Barbara Starfield, July 26, 2000, Journal of the American Medical Association. Her conclusion in a review called, Is U.S. Health Really the Best in the World? That's the citation. The medical system in the U.S., FDA-approved pharmaceutical drugs kill 106,000 people a year in the U.S., or 1 million people per decade. That's called destruction. Serious destruction. So what's supposed to happen in order to get the FDA to do something, or to get a sitting president to simply say, here are the crimes, we are going to fire everybody there, fumigate the buildings, and start over? Because this is an ongoing RICO murder machine. That's what it is. Do people have to take the corpses of their families, the 100,000 a year, and drag them to the door of the FDA and say, you approved the drugs that killed my mother, father, brother, sister, cousin, child? Is that what it takes? Maybe. Maybe. Now, as I write in this piece, if instead of these medical drugs killing people, suppose the 100,000 deaths per year were led by ginkgo, ginseng, vitamin D, niacin, raw milk, what do you think would happen? I'll tell you what would happen. SEALs, Delta Force, SWAT teams, snipers, predator drones, tanks, and infantry would be lining up and hovering outside every health food store and nutritional supplement company in America. That's what would happen. If instead of virtually zero deaths from any of those or any other nutritional supplements, we're talking about 100,000 at minimum, a conservative estimate, killed by FDA-approved, correctly prescribed medicines in America every year. Every year. Okay, you think that's all? No, there's more. There's more. There's more to the secret medical memo. And I'll give you the quotes first, and then I'll give you the source. Appropriately prescribed prescription drugs are the fourth leading cause of death. About 330,000 patients die each year from prescription drugs in the U.S. and Europe. Listening Europe? I know we've got lots of listeners there. The drugs, cause an epidemic of about 20 times more. That would be 6.6 million per year, hospitalizations, as well as falls, road accidents, and about 80 million per year, medically minor problems such as pains, discomforts, and dysfunctions that hobble productivity or the ability to care for others. That's not minor. deaths from over-medication errors and self-medication would increase these figures. In other words, and now I'm talking, the 330,000 deaths per year, the 6.6 million hospitalizations per year, and the 80 million medically minor problems per year, all of this stems from correctly prescribed medicines. And these quotes come from the American Sociological Association publication called Footnotes in its November 2014 issue. The article is The Epidemic of Sickness and Death from Prescription Drugs. The author is Donald W. Light. Donald W. Light is a professor of medical and economic sociology, a founding fellow of the Center for Bioethics at the University of Pennsylvania. In 2013, he was a fellow at the Edmund J. Safra Center for Ethics at Harvard. He is a Loki visiting professor at Stanford University and a fellow of the Royal Society of Medicine. In other words, this guy has mainstream credentials up and down the line as far as you want to go. And that's what he's saying. Those are the deaths and destruction numbers of the medical cartel in the US and Europe. And he, or any of the other sources I've just quoted, none of them are talking about vaccines. They are just talking about medical drugs. More when we come back from the break. John Rappaport sitting in for Alex. Here we go in the last segment here. John Rappaport sitting in for Alex. I want to just, from the secret medical memo, I just want to repeat a few figures here. This is the last citation that I gave you from Donald Light. They, the drugs, appropriately prescribed, 330,000 patients die each year from prescription drugs in the US and Europe. Do the math. What does that turn out to be per decade? 330,000 per year. Sounds like approaching 3.5 million to you. Just move the decimal points. Quote, they, the drugs, also cause an epidemic of about 20 times more, that would be about 6.6 million per year, hospitalizations, as well as falls, road accidents, and about 80 million per year, medically minor problems such as pains, discomforts, and dysfunctions that hobble productivity or the ability to care for others. That's like a roadmap to how do you destroy a country or a continent. Let's see, how can we do this? Well, we can say it's medicine. I mean, we've already invested billions in promotion, PR, and propaganda to assure the public that the medical people are only doing good and doing better at doing good all the time, that's all that's happening in the medical cartel. So we can simply piggyback on that. And we just say that we are building a better world. Well, in fact, and here we would be listening in at the highest levels of conversation, we are actually infiltrating all of these countries. And as you can see by these numbers, wreaking havoc and destruction and death and maiming and turmoil, emotional loss, and so on and so forth on a scale that is just absolutely unbelievable under the noses of the public, the press, the government, the what have you, everybody. And it's being completely ignored, and yet it's right out in the open. And we would even publish occasionally articles, reviews that would indicate what the story is, that just disappear and go away. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. That's what prompts some people to say the biggest secrets are out in the open. So the secret medical memo that I just revealed to you, as I said, is from open sources right out there in the literature, in the mainstream literature. Didn't have to go down into some subterranean cavern with goblins and present some kind of a amulet to secret sign to get the dusty volumes from past centuries. No. Medical journals, sociological journal. It's right out there, right there. Majority of people look at that and they say, well, I know what I just read, I think, but of course, couldn't be true, or I must have misread that, or I don't even want to think about what I just read. Imagine a doctor reading this, right? You know, he's in the Brotherhood. He's in the Society of Hippocrates from ancient times. First, do no harm. And he reads this 330,000 deaths from approved, correctly prescribed medical drugs in the U.S. and Europe every year, and millions more maimings and you know, I didn't. He's going to say, I never saw it, never read it, never heard of it. That's how secret it can become. You just hold it up and say, here it is. And people go, what happened? I don't know. Let's, what's on television? No, here it is. That's the secret medical memo. Now, if you want something to do, imagine what might happen if by, say, next week, 1 million more people than right now knew the facts that I just presented to you. If you participated in getting the information that I'm just giving you right here out in the open, and 1 million more people became aware of it, and some fraction of those million would pass that on to others, and that ripple would keep on going and going and going and going. And then the next time it's brought up, the same thing. And another 1 million people or so would become aware of it. And of course, some people say, well, it doesn't matter if they're, oh yeah, it does matter. It does matter. Don't be so cynical. It does matter. How do you think we got to where we are now? Because people are waking up. How do you think it happened that the major media are in such chaos and disarray and so desperate? Do you think that was just a ploy on their part? Let's pretend that we're completely insane for the next year or two. There's a meeting in CNN. I've got a great idea, says Jeff Zucker, the head of CNN. We're all going to pretend that we're insane, and then people will say, these people are out of their minds. I'm not going to watch them anymore. No. All this happens because people get out the information and other people understand it, and they go to true sources and they desert the fake sources. This is real. This is not some dream, an illusion. This is happening now. So I've just given you the secret info of the secret medical memo. Why not get it out there? Why not let people know what's actually happening? In the words of mainstream medical doctors, researchers, investigators, analysts, those are the people I've been quoting here. Those are the people I've been quoting. Why not get that information out? I've been writing about it for a long time. It's there. It's there in the Journal of the American Medical Association. It's there in other journals, British Medical Journal. Let's have a field day with it. Let's expose this arm of the globalist takeover for what it is. The infiltration of societies in order to debilitate, destroy, and weaken and confuse the people. And some people say, well, that's just an accident, you see. It's not on purpose. Okay, you want to say that? But what happens if the medical professionals, the medical leaders, the medical bureaucrats, the medical chiefs in charge become aware of this accident and do nothing about it? Not just for a day or a week or a month or a year, but decades, they do nothing about it. What does that tell you? They know it and they do nothing. Where did I start all this? I said, suppose you were the head of this agency that was approving as safe and effective medical drugs year after year after year that were killing like clockwork 100,000 people a year or 1 million people a decade, and you became aware of it. What would you do? Well, you know what you would do. But the people who actually are in charge are aware, and they have done nothing. And that tells you that they're guilty as charged, and they continue to be a protection racket for murder and destruction. What else would you call it? Try to tap dance around this if you can. Try to find a way to exonerate them and excuse them. You can't. Good to talk with you. See you next time. John Rappaport for InfoWars.
Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
This young generation who scream words like fascist have actually themselves become the fascists.
You guys are the fascists! You're all the fascists! You're a white male!
I just wish that somebody would create like some kind of a safe space where we can all just go and hate.
You're a fucking white man who gets to do whatever he wants to in this space, right? You need to get out.
I actually don't.
All right. Hey, who wants to help me get this reporter out of here? I need some muscle over here.
Donald J. Trump is now president of the United States.
So the question is, are social justice warriors mentally ill, or are they just stupid?
When your emotions control your actions, it affects not only yourself, but the people around you.
There are over 7 million mentally ill and emotionally disturbed children in America.
It has to be a joke. I do not believe this is happening. I'm literally about to kill myself, and I'm not kidding. You better fix this right now.
Get the out of here!
Jeff's losing control of himself.
Get your phone away. Why? Quit recording. What?
The madder he gets, the worse it becomes.
Get the away!
You couldn't help interrupting, could you?
I have Martha here. I don't want children. I love Satan.
You added nothing to that conversation.
These are some of Tommy's drawings that the school sent over. There's an awful lot of hate in them.
I am a nasty woman. Like your wet dreams infused with your own genes, but yeah, I'm a nasty woman. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
I'm so excited. The new product at InfoWarsLife.com in a glass bottle, 2-month servings, filled to the brim, filled to the absolute top, the real red pill. This is a heart and brain pill, a nootropic that doesn't have any stimulants in it. But boy, does it stimulate, because it's beyond that. Quite frankly, I just went off what I saw medical doctors prescribing to their patients, but it wasn't prescription, but they were charging people $100, $200 for the formulae. And I came up with our own formula, working with some scientists and developers, non-GMO, made right here in America, 120 capsules. And ladies and gentlemen, you add the pregnenolone to it, which is the precursor to all the hormones that your body has to have to even make the hormones in your glands. It is amazing. Red Pill, now available at InfoWarsStore.com, and your purchase funds the operation.